Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Gao Wu, Behemoth Natural Disaster. My Only Beast Master. Chapter 41. This moment, when the reward information appears on the stone tablet. It is no exaggeration to say that all the students present had their eyes red. Don't talk about students, even those king-level experts outside the secret realm. At this moment, everyone is breathing rapidly, and the expressions on their faces are constantly changing. The reward Lu Yu received. It's so outrageous. 100 top quality source crystals. That is the best source crystal. The three major families in Jinling may not have a lot of money in total. And Lu Yu alone got 100 yuan. What is this concept? Even a warrior who has just awakened and has ordinary talent can directly cultivate to the king level realm in a short time with these 100 top quality source crystals, right? No, more than. With slightly better talent, you can even directly break through to the mid-level king level. Outside the secret realm, the voice of a king-level powerhouse began to tremble. It's not just him. Quite a few king-level experts have extremely greedy thoughts even deep in their hearts. If it weren't for the supreme beings from the four major martial arts schools staring above us, they might really want to join forces to snatch it after Lu Yu comes out. Certainly, the most shocking one is Zhang Zhenmin. As the principal of Luokang No. 1 middle school and the leading teacher for this Luokang provincial examination, Zhang Zhenmin didn't have high expectations for Lu Yu and others. I never thought, ever since Lu Yu came on stage for testing, everything that happened in this short period of time was causing the principal's brain to shut down. Until now, he stared blankly at the lines of text clearly displayed on the stone tablet in the light screen projection. Zhang Zhenmin's lips were trembling constantly. Lu Yu. They are students from Los Angeles. A punch worth £1 million can suppress the genius of the entire Zhang province. And we got such incredible resources. It is no exaggeration to say that with these resources, Lu Yu will definitely become a king-level powerhouse in the future. And it's the kind that can grow up in a very short time. Even, in addition to the top-quality source crystals that can greatly increase the speed of cultivation and advancement, there are also elemental crystals. This is something that countless king-level warriors dream of. In addition to the best source crystals and element crystals, there are also low-grade heavenly skills, the core of the king-level beast, the inheritance of the ancient sect, and the last key may be more mysterious and precious than the previous rewards. Zhang Zhenmin murmured sentence after sentence. The further back he went, the more numb his heart became. Yes, already numb. At the same time, this group of king-level experts is at the front. The three powerful men, whose auras had reached the peak of the 9th level of the king level and were only one step away from the honorable level, looked at each other and they all understood what they were thinking. They come from the three major families in Jinling. Leave aside the source crystal and element crystal for now. You must get the low-grade kung fu of that day. The thoughts in the minds of the three people were almost surprisingly consistent. And the next moment, whoosh, the sound of breaking wind sounded. These three king-level experts turned into streams of light and flew towards the vast and huge Jinling city in the distance. This is a big deal. Heavenly level skills are enough to make the three major families of Jinling fight over it. To know, kung fu is the most important resource for a warrior to cultivate, bar none. Nowadays, although the three major families in Jinling are powerful, the top-level skills among them are only at the earth level. Heaven-level skills. Even if this was placed in the imperial capital, it would cause countless families to break their heads. In the secret realm, above the Jade Square, the atmosphere at this time was already dead silent. It took quite a while. No words were spoken. The only thing that could be heard was the increasingly rapid breathing. Money and silk move people's hearts, and this has been the case since ancient times. Now no one dares to step forward to snatch it, but it's just because Lu Yu's previous punch of £1 million shocked them all. Lu Yu ignored these people's thoughts. He took the reward in his hand and retreated to Luo City's team. When Zhang Zuying, Qin Xiao and others saw Lu Yu, they didn't know what to say. And Lu Yu, he really calmed down and communicated with Caesar in his mind. Can these 100 top-quality source crystals restore you to your full strength? Lu Yu asked in his heart. My lord, it's more than enough. Maybe I can break through a few small realms. Caesar's tone also seemed very excited at this moment. Obviously, He also did not expect that the master would want to give all such precious cultivation resources to himself. Haha, that's good. Lu Yu was in a good mood after receiving a satisfactory answer. The next moment, with a thought in his mind, 100 pieces of top-quality source crystals in his hand all disappeared and entered the beast-controlling space. Then, just a moment, hundreds of top-grade source crystals were all transformed by inexplicable power into a large amount of extremely rich beast-controlling power. This moment, Hula, Caesar, who was still lying on the ground, now struggled to sit up. He opened his mouth and took a deep breath. The infinite power of beast control turned into torrents and poured into his body. A moment's work, Caesar's body, which was originally extremely ferocious and densely covered with scars, recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. The claw mark on his chest, which is so deep that one can see the bone, is healing rapidly. Just a few minutes. Roar. A thundering roar sounded in the beast-controlling space. Caesar stood up. At this moment, he is no longer just 5 meters tall. He has fully manifested his true body shape and is more than 500 meters tall. Buzz. Star-like light burst out from his body. Caesar's aura begins to rise. King level first level, King level second level, King level third level. Final. Caesar broke through 3 realms in a row, and his aura reached the peak of the 4th level of King level. The 4th level of King level has entered the middle stage of King level. At the same time, Caesar's body is also slowly expanding and getting bigger. 500 meters, 550 meters, 600 meters. Final. Caesar's body shape is fixed at a height of 700 meters. Roar. Another roar. Under Lu Yu's delighted and surprised gaze, Caesar fully mobilizes his doubling talent. Boom. A giant beast that is more than 8,000 meters tall, reaching the sky and the earth. Obviously, after the realm was improved, Caesar's doubling talent limit also increased, from the original maximum of 10 times to 12 times. With Caesar's current body size of 700 meters, after doubling it, he can reach the current maximum height of 8,400 meters. A king-level beast over 8,000 meters tall. My lord, with my current strength, I can be said to be invincible to everyone below my level, whether it is giant beasts or humans. Caesar's extremely powerful voice sounded. The heaven and earth in the beast-controlling space trembled due to this. When Lu Yu heard this, he became even more satisfied. And in another corner of the beast-controlling space, Quizante's face was full of grievance and panic. The Master's King-level behemoth is too powerful, shouldn't he be abandoned? Haha, don't worry, elemental crystals are just for you. With a thought in his mind, Lu Yu summoned Quizante directly from the beast-controlling space. Swish, there was a flash of light. Above the jade square, in front of Lu Yu, a chubby black cat that was completely black appeared. The previous 100 pieces of top-quality source crystals were transformed into the power of controlling beasts. Although most of them were absorbed by Caesar. But there was also a small part that poured into Quizante's body. And even if it was only this small part, the extremely rich energy would almost burst Quizante's body. So much so that he directly transformed into a black cat form to better absorb and digest energy. Meow. After Quizante appeared, he rushed directly to Lu Yu's feet and rubbed his head affectionately against his trousers. Just now in the beast control space, he heard the master's words, and the master wanted to crystallize the elements to him. Certainly, what makes Quizante happy is not just the precious crystallization of elements, but the fact that the master did not favor one over the other and did not forget that he was very weak compared to Caesar. Meow meow. Quizante's cry even sounded a bit jingle-like. And above the jade square, these two meows instantly attracted the attention of almost all students. Even the girl who had just taken the stage after Lu Yu and was about to conduct a strength test couldn't help but look over. This moment, there is no doubt about it. The atmosphere in the square was detonated again. Wow, is this Mr. Lu Yu's pet beast? Someone subconsciously exclaimed. Just now, Lu Yu stepped off the testing platform to restore Caesar's strength. Many students present also had a better understanding of Lu Yu's information. Everyone also knows the identity of Lu Yu's beast master. Certainly, after knowing this, their reaction was the same as Shen Tushang before. The first reaction is disbelief. No, don't beast masters rely on their pet beasts to fight? Which beast master can break through 1,000,000 kilograms of force with one punch? He even beat the test stone to the point of giving up. But, even if you still don't believe it, this is the fact. Although no one still knows how Lu Yu did it, their curiosity about Lu Yu's pets has not diminished at all. Just didn't expect it. During the test, Lu Yu did not ask the pet to help. After the test, he summoned the pet instead. This black cat looks so cute. Cute, why do I feel a strong dangerous aura from him? It seems like he can kill me with one claw. If I sense it correctly, it should be at the 3rd level, but the aura has been faintly improving. Maybe it will break through the 4th level soon. Why did Mr. Lu Yu summon the pet beast? Some people couldn't help but said. Faced with such questioning, Lu Yu ignored it. He knelt down and stretched out his hand. Quizanti nuzzled over affectionately. Then, Lu Yu opened his palm, and there were 10 transparent and colorless crystals in his hand. Elemental crystallization. The prodigies of the Jinling family recognized it with sharp eyes, and they immediately exclaimed again. And the most outrageous thing is yet to come. Meow. Quizanti exclaimed with joy. The next moment, he actually buried his head directly, opened his small mouth, and bit into a piece of elemental crystal. Gulu. Quizanti swallowed it, with a satisfied expression on his face. Elemental crystals contain the power of elements. Generally speaking, it is the supreme resource for warriors to understand elemental martial arts. But the same thing, elemental crystals also greatly improve the ability of alien beasts. Especially a beast like Quizanti, which itself has mastered a trace of the power of the dark element. For Lu Yu, elemental crystals were useless. He was not a warrior and did not need to understand elemental martial arts. When this scene fell in the eyes of hundreds of other students in the square. Everyone's eyes were widened, not to mention ordinary students, the prodigies of the 3 major Jinling families, Shen Tushang, Li Weiner and Shen Tianzong, all had their mouths twitching at the moment. Elemental crystallization. This is a precious resource that is difficult for them to get even in their family. I didn't expect that here in Lu Yu. He actually used it to feed the cat. The most important thing is, not even one piece. Yes, under everyone's numb gaze, Quizanti said, meow, and took one bite at a time. It takes a few breaths. There were 10 pieces of elemental crystals, not a single one was left, they were all swallowed by Quizanti. Belch. In the dead silence of the square, you can hear the drop of a needle. Everyone could even hear Quizanti's belch. Silence. Silence without words. Everyone looks at me and I look at you, and no one can find any words to describe their mood at this moment. Not to mention them, the hundreds of king-level experts outside the secret realm, as well as the martial arts supremes above the sky, all have extremely weird expressions at the moment. Elemental crystals to feed cats. If this is said, I am afraid that the entire China and the entire Blue Star will become the only headline news. What the hell? Is there any royal law in this world? A cat ate elemental crystals. 10 elemental crystals. Oh my god, if you give them to me. I don't dare to think about it. My mentality is broken. I never thought that I would envy a cat in my life. Little girl, I have to ask. Does Mr. Lu Yu still need a cat? I will also bark. Meow. Quote. Lu Yu, who had just taken Quizanti into the beast-controlling space, heard this sentence when he raised his head. It was him, looking at the meowing girl, he couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. Fortunately, Zhang Zuying appeared in time. He suddenly stood in front of the girl, and even held Lu Yu's arm again, which seemed to be a declaration of sovereignty. Well, brother Lu Yu, if you still want to raise a cat, please contact me at any time. My name is. The pretty-looking girl left dejectedly. When this scene fell in the eyes of others, they felt even more uncomfortable. On the contrary, it was Qin Xiao who walked up to Lu Yu and reminded. The skills of a lower-level heaven-level person are very precious. You have to be careful of those big families in Jinling outside. When Lu Yu heard this, he turned to look at her in surprise. But after Qin Xiao said this, she walked away without looking back. Her temperament was still cold, indifferent and unhuman. It was as if the words of reminder just now did not come from her mouth at all. Your cousin actually cares about you quite a bit. Zhang Zuying blinked her eyes and said something meaningful. When Lu Yu heard this, he just smiled. His mind once again returned to the reward he had received before. The best source crystal was used to restore Caesar's strength and improve his realm. The crystallization of elements was given to Quizanti, allowing him to master more power of dark elements. Lu Yu didn't pay much attention to the heavenly level Kung Fu and the Scarlet Flame sect's inheritance token for the time being. What he was really interested in was the key. Lu Yu raised his hand and spread his palm. A simple-looking, bronze-colored key lay quietly in the palm of his hand. On the key, you can vaguely see lines. The lines are outlined together, seeming to look like a giant beast. Is there a giant beast hidden in this sect's secret realm? Lu Yu's heart moved slightly, thinking of the first prize in the provincial examination that Lao Wang had mentioned before, and suddenly this bold idea came to his mind. Lu Yu stared at the key in his hand and just had this idea in mind. At this time, a clear mechanical prompt sounded. Charging of beast control power has been completed. Do you want to advance to level 5? Lu Yu came to his senses. Only then did he react. Previously, he had used his transformation talent to transform 100 pieces of top-quality source crystals into beast-controlling power to restore and enhance Caesar's strength. And accordingly, the converted 10% of the Beast Master's power can be used to advance as a Beast Master. Advanced, Lu Yu thought in his mind and said silently. The next moment, suddenly there was a strong aura fluctuation on his body. Just for a moment, calm returned again. Charging of beast control power has been completed. Do you want to advance to level 6? There was barely any pause. Another beep sounded. Lu Yu did not hesitate and chose to advance again. The aura on his body fluctuated again. 6th level Beast Master. But this time, there was no further advancement. Charging of beast control power, 75%. Lu Yu looked at the information at the bottom of his personal panel and raised his eyebrows. This result was quite beyond his expectation. To know. That's a full 100 pieces of top-quality source crystals. Even if only 10% of the beast-controlling power is converted, it is equivalent to 10 top-quality source crystals. Result: Lu Yu only advanced to less than 3 levels. It seems that compared with martial arts practitioners, the later the Beast Master reaches, the more energy he needs to advance. Lu Yu silently guessed in his heart. This result made Lu Yu a little unhappy, but after thinking about it carefully, it seemed reasonable. After all, compared to a warrior, as a Beast Master, he unlocks a god-level talent every time he advances, which is already quite a bug. And most importantly, the impact of the same level on Beast Control Masters is far less than that of martial arts practitioners. Lu Yu's true combat power still relies on his pet beasts and talent. By the way, I haven't checked out the new talents unlocked after advancement. Lu Yu's heart moved and he looked at his personal panel. Level 5 talent. You can contract your soul body as a pet. Explanation. The stronger the soul body is during life, the lower the success rate of the contract, the greater the resistance of the soul body, the lower the success rate of the contract. Lu Yu just glanced at this talent that he had seen before and didn't take it to heart. At least for now, this talent is very useless, or has no use at all. Level 6 talent. You can increase the combat power of yourself and your pet. Current increase rate, 60%. Explanation. This ratio is linked to the level of the Beast Master. The higher the level, the higher the increase ratio. See here, Lu Yu finally showed a satisfied smile on his face. Right, this talent is right. What is most needed now is this talent to increase combat power. Caesar is already invincible at his level. If his combat power is increased by another 60%, wouldn't he be qualified to challenge the giant beast at his level? Even the supreme martial arts master is not necessarily Caesar's opponent, right? Think of this. Lu Yu suddenly felt relieved. From this moment on, I am about to say goodbye to the wretched early stage of development. I had been hiding Caesar before, for fear of being discovered by City Lord Lin. And now, Lu Yu said, not to mention king-level warriors, even the supreme martial arts master is here. With Caesar, he is qualified to challenge him head-on. Level 7 talent. It's different from before. Although Lu Yu is already at level 6, he can't check the details of his level 7 talent now. Lu Yu didn't pay too much attention to this. He simply looked at the talents he had unlocked before. There are no changes to level 1 and level 2 talents. Several other talents have been greatly improved due to Lu Yu's advancement. Level 3 Talent. You can share the realm, strength, talent, skills, and bloodline of your pet. Current sharing ratio, 50%. Current maximum number of shares, 3. The sharing ratio has increased from 30% to 50%. The number of shared items has also been increased from 1 to 3. In other words, Lu Yu can now not only share all the strength and skills of the 3 pet beasts at the same time, but the sharing ratio has reached as much as 50%. If Lu Yu is asked to conduct a strength test again now, he only needs to use less than 1/3 of his strength to reach a weight of 1 million kilograms. Level 4 Talent. You can convert any energy resource into the power of beast control in the beast control space. This transformation is completed instantly and there is no cooling down. 30% of the converted beast controlling power is counted as charge and can be used to advance the beast controlling master. At the same time, the proportion of talent conversion has also been increased from 10% to 30%. Take off. Lu Yu was immediately overjoyed. The corner of his mouth now is harder to suppress than AK. On the square, the other students looked at Lu Yu with a smile on his face, and tears of envy and jealousy flowed from the corners of his mouth. That guy must have improved a lot. I sensed that his aura changed twice, maybe it was a continuous advancement. Some students were discussing in whispers. Zhang Zuying, who was standing next to Lu Yu, leaned close to his ear and asked in a low voice, "Have you advanced?" Lu Yu nodded. "What level is it now?" Zhang Zuying blinked and asked curiously. Lu Yu smiled and stretched out his hand to make a gesture. 6th level. Is this the 6th level? Zhang Zuying immediately covered her mouth, her beautiful eyes widening. Although the communication between the two was hidden, but many students in the square were paying attention to what was happening on Lu Yu's side. And therefore, after Lu Yu made a 6 feet gesture with one hand, many students were stunned at first, and then were shocked again. Oh my god, Lu Yu has reached the 6th level. Such a sound soon spread throughout the Jade Square. Lu Yu's face still had a faint smile. Hiding your strength and pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. This is not his style. If you have strength, you have to show off hard. Hiding and tucking, isn't that just silly? Not far away. Qin Xiao, who was standing alone in the corner of the square, also looked a little surprised at this moment. Obviously, she was also shocked by the news that Lu Yu had broken through to the 6th level. Is this the 6th level? It's only a few minutes, right? Is the ultimate source crystal so powerful? Qin Xiao opened her beautiful eyes wide and murmured softly, her tone full of shock. In her opinion, Lu Yu must have just used the best source crystal to practice and then broke through to the 6th level. But this process seems a bit too fast, right? The most important thing is, she didn't see Lu Yu practicing with the source crystal in his hand either. Could it be that the cultivation and advancement of beast masters are different from those of warriors? Qin Xiao kept thinking in her heart. And the next moment, the Empress' voice suddenly sounded in her mind. Qin Xiao froze in place like an ice sculpture. Lu Yu's black cat pet just now has the aura of a king-level beast. 2 words from the Empress teacher. Qin Xiao, the school belle of Bingshan, lost her mind on the spot. King-level beast. That black cat that Lu Yu just summoned. He was stunned for more than half a minute. Qin Xiao finally asked in her heart. No, not that black cat. That black cat is only at the peak of the 3rd level and is about to break through to the 4th level. The Empress's voice was cold, with no emotion at all. But Qin Xiao was even more confused at this moment. Then what is the aura of the king-level beast you are talking about? The Empress was silent for a moment. Then he said faintly. That black cat has the aura of a king-level beast. If I'm not mistaken, it should still be a mid-level king-level behemoth. The Empress finished speaking. Qin Xiao was dumbfounded again. She absolutely believed in the Empress's judgment. When the Empress was alive, her realm was even higher than that of the human martial god. There will definitely be no problem with her perception. But this way, Qin Xiao was even more confused. Teacher, this disciple is stupid and still doesn't understand the meaning. After a while, Qin Xiao really couldn't figure it out, so she just told the truth. The Empress was silent for a moment, and then said, "The scent of the giant beast is very fresh. It can't be the aura left behind after coming into contact with the giant beast before. In other words, just before Lu Yu summoned the black cat, it was getting along with a mid-level king-level giant beast. Only in this way can we explain the fresh breath of the giant beast on it. The Empress finished her words. Qin Shiyao's breathing stopped for a while. You mean? The Empress nodded and sighed. Judging from Lu Yu's previous summons of black cats, the Beast Master should have a special dimension in which the pet beast can survive. And in Lu Yu's dimensional space, in addition to the black cat pet beast just now, there is most likely a king-level beast. That king-level beast is also one of Lu Yu's pet beasts. Having said this, the Empress paused and added, "Of course, this is just my speculation. After all, a mere 6th-level beast master can have a king-level beast as a pet. This is so bizarre and unbelievable." The words fell. Qin Shiyao had completely lost her ability to think at this moment. The only thing she could do. He just stared blankly at Lu Yu's tall back not far ahead. Is there really a king-level giant beast pet? How did you do it? This moment, Qin Shiyao even had the urge to run directly to Lu Yu and ask him if it was true. But, after a while, she calmed down. The relationship between himself and Lu Yu is not very deep. Although they have been living under the same roof for the past few years, before this provincial exam, the two of them had only spoken a few words in total. If Lu Yu really has a king-level monster pet, it will definitely be his biggest trump card and secret. Impossible to tell myself. Think of this. Don't know why. Qin Shiyao felt inexplicably disappointed. She glanced at Zhang Zuying next to Lu Yu in a strange way. Zhang Zuying was holding Lu Yu's arm affectionately, and the two of them gathered together to whisper. If Zhang Zuying asked, Lu Yu would have said it, right? Qin Shiyao thought inexplicably, and in her conscious space. Wearing purple and gold robes, the Empress Shadow looked noble and majestic. Looking at this scene, she shook her head and sighed. It seems that my disciple's attitude towards Lu Yu has changed slightly. Admiration is definitely out of the question. But the seeds of curiosity may have been planted. For women, the most important thing is to be curious about a man. That often means the beginning of downfall. The Empress sighed and stopped thinking about this. After taking a deep look at Lu Yu's back, she looked towards the bottom of the Jade Square, towards the deepest part of the secret realm. There, she felt a breath. Behemoth, sacred level. The aura is a bit strange. It seems that it only has king-level strength now. The Empress murmured softly. Qin Shiyao couldn't hear these words at all. Above the Jade Square, as time passes by, finally, more than 500 geniuses from all over Zhang province have all completed the test of the power steel. Among them, there were almost 80 people, but they failed to reach the minimum assessment standard of 40,000 kilograms and were eliminated. Swish, a white light flashed in the square and accurately fell on the 80 students. The next moment, their figures disappeared on the spot. This is being forcibly expelled from the secret realm. Well, they were all geniuses in their original city, but here they were directly eliminated. In the crowd, some students couldn't help but sigh. As soon as he finished speaking, a genius from Jinling laughed and said, "Who can be blamed for lack of strength? No matter how many opportunities there are in the secret realm, only the weak are not qualified to get involved." As soon as this statement came out, many people think so. Although this doesn't sound good, it is true. Think of this. Many talented people present who barely met the assessment standards suddenly felt happy in their hearts. No matter what, I finally passed the test. You can officially enter the secret realm later and obtain resources and opportunities. They just had this idea. The next moment, rumble. Above the Jade Square, the stone tablet for the strength test suddenly glowed brightly. Lines of new text appeared faintly. The more than 400 students present immediately looked at each other. Strength test has ended. The beast-tide assessment is about to begin. Only those who pass the assessment can go deep into the depths of the secret realm of chants of the Red Flame sect. Those who fail to pass the assessment can only move around the periphery of the secret realm. Minimum assessment standard. Survive for 3 days under the tide of beasts. Transmission is about to begin. More detailed rules will be announced after arriving at the safe house. On top of the stone tablet, the new text message stunned everyone present. Good guy, is there still an assessment? Only by passing this test can you enter the depths of the secret realm. There is still some leeway in this level. If you don't pass the level, you won't be kicked out. You just can only move around in the periphery. The best resources and the greatest opportunities must be deep in the secret realm. The most you can do is pick up some garbage on the outside. Quote. On the square, more than 400 Tianzhou students were talking a lot. Almost all the geniuses of Jinling looked happy at this moment. Obviously, they were very satisfied with the existence of this assessment. After all, this means that more students will be eliminated. In this way, no one can snatch the resources and opportunities deep in the secret realm from them. And more students, especially those from ordinary cities, are more or less worried at this moment. Swish swish. The next moment, no one had to think too much. Rays of silver-white light fell from the sky and landed on everyone accurately. In an instant, more than 400 figures in the Jade Square all disappeared. The second level of the Beast Tide assessment has begun. The secret realm of the Red Flame sect. It is said to be a secret realm, but it is actually a complete small world. It has a huge area and even has mountains and rivers. And at this moment, the outermost part of the secret realm, there is this dense forest. Beyond the forest is an endless wilderness as far as the eye can see. There are countless strange beasts in the wasteland. And at the end of this forest, there are extremely simple cabins. Each wooden house is dozens of kilometers apart. Hundreds of wooden houses stretched together, seeming to outline a protective barrier at the outermost edge of the forest. Swish, swish, white lights flashed. In the originally deserted and silent cabin, figures appeared one after another. It was more than 400 Tianzhou students from various cities in Zhang province. After everyone experienced the initial daze, they all opened a parchment roll placed on the table in the cabin. On the scroll, the detailed rules of this assessment are written. Assessment task: resist the beast tide. 1. Alien beasts will attack the safe house every day, and the examiner needs to expel or kill the incoming alien beasts. 2. The level and number of exotic beasts will continue to increase with the number of days. 3. After sunrise, the beast tide begins to attack the safe house. After sunset, the beast tide recedes. 4. After sunset every day, real-time settlement assessment rankings. 5. When unable to resist the beast tide, the examiner can be teleported out of the area by saying, "Give up," silently in the safe house. 6. The final ranking is determined by the number of days survived and the number of monsters killed. The higher the final ranking, the richer the reward. The rules are written very straightforwardly. Everyone understood the specific information immediately. Everyone looked outside the house. At this moment, it was the scorching sun. Obviously, this is the time when the beast tide strikes. Under the tide of beasts, the so-called cabin cannot protect everyone's safety, it just serves as a resting place at night. Think of this. There was barely any hesitation. More than 400 assessment students all walked out of the wooden house. They looked at the endless wilderness in front of them, took a fighting stance, and were ready to face the beast tide. Outside cabin No. 007. Lu Yu stood at the edge of the forest, looking at the scene of the wilderness ahead. Above the wilderness, a group of green beast shadows are approaching quickly. Just a few minutes, the beast's shadow came directly to the edge of the forest less than 1 kilometer away. Roar! A ferocious roar sounded. With a thought in his mind, Lu Yu used the detection technique on this group of cyan wolf mutant beasts. Race: Steppenwolf. Level: Peak of the 3rd level. Skills: Impact, Bite. A 3rd level peak alien beast. It doesn't seem like the level is high, but the number is astonishing. In the group in front of Lu Yu, there were as many as 50. 53rd level peak beasts. Ordinary 4th level warriors may not be able to stop them. I wonder if these beast cores will be dropped after killing these strange beasts. Lu Yu stared at the group of Steppenwolves and thought in his heart. Generally speaking, when an alien beast dies, it will drop a beast core. But this is in a secret realm, and it is unclear whether these Steppenwolves are real or simulated. Roar! The roar of the Steppenwolf interrupted Lu Yu's thoughts. They stared at Lu Yu, their scarlet eyes full of bloodthirsty ferocity. Swish! The next moment, these Steppenwolves rushed directly towards Lu Yu. They want to tear this human being in front of them to pieces. And Lu Yu, he just smiled faintly. He didn't even have the slightest interest in taking action against these third-level peak beasts. It's no fun to shoot mosquitoes with a cannon. Kwazanti. Lu Yu shouted softly. Swish. There was a flash of white light. In front of Lu Yu, a black domestic cat appeared out of thin air. Meow. After appearing, Kwazanti even turned around and called Lu Yu affectionately. Its aura is currently at the peak of the 3rd level, only one step away from the 4th level. But its combat power has increased countless times. Although the energy of the 10 elemental crystals has not been completely absorbed, Kwazanti's information panel has already undergone great changes. Name: Kwazanti. Race: Night Beast. Level: Peak of the 3rd level. Talent: Dark Element Mastery can mobilize the power of dark elements. Bloodline: there is a trace of thin dark night devouring beast bloodline in the body. Continuous evolution may make the bloodline richer. Skills: Dark Bite, Dark Assault, Dark Stance, Dark Elemental Vortex. Evaluation: it is proficient in controlling the power of dark elements, and its combat power is extremely strong. It can easily jump 2 levels to fight. Compared with before, the biggest change is that all of Kwazanti's skills have the word dark in front of them. Obviously, this is a sign that it has mastered the power of dark elements. Let me see how you perform. Lu Yu chuckled. Meow. Hearing this, Kwazanti shouted again. Then, it slowly turned its head and looked at the 50 Steppenwolves that had already rushed in front of it. In terms of realm, this Steppenwolf is also the peak of the 3rd level. Quantitatively speaking, this is a 1 vs 50 battle. But Kwazanti didn't even bother to activate his fighting stance. In the form of a black cat, it just yawned and then opened its mouth. Buzz. A black vortex appeared out of thin air in its mouth. At first, this vortex is only the size of a sesame seed. But within an instant, the vortex began to expand rapidly. In an instant, the black vortex expanded to a diameter of about 5 meters. Meow. Kwazanti gave a harmless cry. The black vortex in front of it headed towards the wasteland wolves with a whoosh. Swish. Just a wink. Fully 50 Steppenwolves are missing. They were all swallowed by the dark vortex. Meow. Kwazanti didn't know when he had returned to Lu Yu's feet, rubbing his trouser legs and calling out affectionately. The next moment, after feeling Lu Yu's gaze, Kwazanti nodded humanely. It opens its mouth. Crash. Neatly 50 beast cores were spat out and fell to the ground. It really has an animal core. This moment, Lu Yu finally smiled. The smile on his face was even brighter than during the previous strength test. For warriors, beast cores are of little use. But for him, the beast core can not only be cultivated, but can also be directly and instantly transformed into the power of controlling beasts. Theoretically speaking, as long as the number of beast cores is sufficient, their value to Lu Yu is not even much lower than that of top-quality source crystals. Think of this. Lu Yu raised his head. Look at the endless wilderness ahead. Above the wilderness, a group of ultramarine beasts can be vaguely seen wandering around. This moment, Lu Yu smiled completely. How is this a beast-type assessment? This is where you buy wholesale animal cores for yourself. When Lu Yu was happy about the beast cores that were about to arrive one after another. Outside the secret realm, all the powerful men were dumbfounded. Lu Yu's black cat pet. What the hell kind of fighting power is that? 50 strange beasts of the same level were instantly killed by that black cat. It's not an exaggeration, it really only took a moment. A king-level expert couldn't help but exclaimed. The words just fell. The other king-level experts also exploded. Shen Tushang, who is at the highest level, is in the middle of the 6th level. It took him several minutes to kill 50 Steppenwolves. Why did Lu Yu, this black cat and strange beast, die in an instant? This beast's realm is only at the 3rd level of peak. Yes, it's only the 3rd level peak, not even the 4th level. I thought I was wrong. What kind of bug profession is this beast master? It doesn't matter if you can punch 1,000,000 pounds, but your pet beast can easily jump through levels in seconds. Quote. Above the earth, hundreds of king-level experts, you say something, I say something, it's so lively. And the next moment, when they saw Lu Yu's next actions in the projection screen, all their discussions came to an abrupt end, even in the vast wilderness, falling into a strange silence. Because Lu Yu actually went back to the cabin directly. Bang! The wooden door is closed. Lu Yu sat cross-legged on the wooden bed, holding the beast core, and began to practice by himself. Kwazanti, on the other hand, was left outside the wooden house, responsible for cleaning up the mutant beasts that will attack later. Such a scene. Let hundreds of king-level experts look at each other in shock. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. To know. Now in the projection light curtain. Except for the geniuses from the 3 major families. But there are still many students who are fighting for their lives against the Steppenwolves. Even a 4th level warrior would not have an easy time dealing with the siege of 53rd level peak mutant beasts. And even those geniuses from the 3 major families. For example, Shen Tushong, Li Weiner, Shen Tianzong and others. Even after they killed the first group of wasteland wolves, they didn't relax at all. They all sat cross-legged on the ground and began to restore their power as quickly as possible, preparing to deal with the next wave of beasts. In this tense scene, Lu Yu is the only alternative. Others risk their lives to kill monsters, but Lu Yu stays out of it. Fortunately, the other assessment students didn't know about Lu Yu's situation. Otherwise, I am afraid that every Taoist heart will be unstable. A full hour later, outside cabin No. 007, finally another pack of Steppenwolves arrived. The same level is still the peak of the 3rd level, and the number is still 50. Swish. Kwazanti wasted no time, directly spit out the vortex of dark elements, once again performing an instant kill. Then, meow, Kwazanti jumped into the wooden house from the window with dexterity and came to Lu Yu. Crash. It opened its mouth and spit. There are 50 neat beast cores again. Good. Lu Yu quit his cultivation state and praised Kwazanti. Then, he thought about it and decided to use these beast cores to improve Kwazanti first. The realm of the 3rd level peak is still too low. Just do it. With a thought in his mind, Lu Yu directly took Kwazanti into the beast controlling space. Then, put all the remaining 97 beast cores into the beast control space and activate the talent, transformation. Swish. A moment of effort. All the beast cores disappeared, transformed into extremely pure beast controlling power. In space, Caesar was also very sensible and did not absorb this part of the beast controlling power, leaving it all to Kwazanti. After all, for Caesar, these powers are like a drop in the bucket and have no meaning. It is better to use them to improve Kwazanti, his little brother. Buzz. Just for a moment, after absorbing all the power of beast control, Kwazanti, in the form of a black cat, slowly expanded like a balloon. Over time, its expanded size began to slowly shrink again. Until more than half an hour passed. Kwazanti's aura finally stabilized. Swish. With a thought in his mind, Lu Yu directly summoned Kwazanti. Meow. Kwazanti shouted with joy. And Lu Yu also knew its current state. The peak of the 4th level. Nearly 100 3rd level beast cores directly raised Kwazanti to a great level. According to this rhythm, beast tide equals beast core. The beast core can be directly used to improve the realm of Kwazanti and even Caesar. So, the greater the beast tide, the more the pet beasts improve, and the greater my harvest will be. Lu Yu thought about it secretly and looked outside the wooden house. Far away in the wilderness, groups of Steppenwolves were wandering around, but they happened to stay 3 kilometers away from the cabin. It was as if there was some barrier there, preventing them from swarming forward. I guess it's the setting of a secret realm. So the beast tide can only come in waves. And there should be an upper limit to the number of beasts that can be produced every day. Lu Yu was guessing in his mind. I have to say, this setting is relatively friendly to other assessors. Otherwise, no matter how strong they are, no one can persist for even one day in the face of countless beasts swarming towards them. But, for Lu Yu, this setting is a bit self-defeating. He wished that the herd of beasts would be endless. If Kwazanti can't handle it, bring out the Star Titan Caesar and show him off. Perhaps we should take the initiative. Lu Yu looked at the wilderness in the distance and suddenly came up with this idea. Instead of guarding the cabin and waiting for the beasts to come, it would be better to let Kwazanti go to the wilderness to hunt the strange beasts. The rules don't say you can't leave the safe house area. Only in this way can the benefits be maximized. Think of this. Lu Yu no longer hesitated. Directly through his thoughts, he informed Kwazanti of his thoughts. Meow. When Kwazanti heard this, he was also very excited. It has just improved its realm, and now it is the time when it feels itchy. The little Steppenwolf we had before was really not enough for it to enjoy. Go for it, Kwazanti, Lu Yu shouted with a smile. The next moment, Kwazanti directly transformed into a group photo, rushed out of the wooden house, and galloped towards the endless wilderness in the distance. And Lu Yu, I saw the extremely crude environment in the wooden house. At the same time, there are no beast cores in hand for training. He thought about it. Simply lie down on the wooden bed and fall asleep. He said hello to Caesar in the beast-controlling space. If there is really any danger that Kwazanti can't handle, Caesar can just take action. As for going out in person to hunt mutant beasts, Lu Yu never thought about it. As a beast master, how could he personally end up fighting with others? It's just that this wooden bed is too hard. It would be nice if it were softer. What a pity. Before falling asleep, Lu Yu muttered something vaguely. And outside the secret realm, a group of king-level experts, as well as several martial arts supremes in the sky, were all dumbfounded. Is it the Beast Master? Within the secret realm, Lu Yu slept soundly. It looks like his mouth is almost drooling. But there are a lot of big guys outside the secret realm. At this moment, they all looked at each other and were speechless. This is crazy. Just fell asleep like this. What a great Lu Yu, the first person to sleep in the secret realm during the provincial exam. I have been practicing for decades and have never seen such an outrageous scene. Above the ground, hundreds of king-level experts were all shocked by Lu Yu's operation of sleeping on the spot. These powerful men who usually stand high above others in their respective cities are looked upon with admiration. At this moment, everyone was just like ordinary people in the streets, talking and making noises. Talking and talking. Inevitably, everyone's topic once again focused on Lu Yu's special professional beast master. The reason why Lu Yu is acting so bizarrely now is ultimately because of his status as a beast master. Other student geniuses, such as Shen Tushang, Li Wanner, and others, no matter how high their level is and how powerful their combat power is, they still need to personally deal with the beast tide. But Lu Yu is different. He is a beast master and can control pet beasts to fight. From this perspective, the profession of beast master is not without its merits. A king-level expert looked at Lu Yu sleeping soundly in the sky screen and couldn't help but sigh. But the words just fell. This caused dissatisfaction among the other king-level experts around him. That's wrong. City Lord Lu, you are already a king-level expert, how can you be so blind? Although Lu Yu has shown good strength now, and can even do such outrageous things as sleeping in a secret realm, but before him, there had never been a beast master. Common people may think that being special is a good thing, but they don't know that the more special they are, the more confusing the road ahead will be. Master Martial God has personally said that martial arts is the great road in this world, and the rest are all minor roads. The beast master profession may be strong now, but what about in the future? The road ahead is vast and unknown. Maybe the king level will be a natural chasm. Quote. Many king-level experts say something to you, and I say something to you. His tone was full of dissatisfaction. There were even a few who not only criticized the profession of beast master, but also criticized Lu Yu. This Lu Yu is so frivolous in sleeping like this. It's hard to achieve success with this kind of mentality. This guy is just showing off his power for a while. When the intensity of the beast tide increases in the next few days, let's see if he still dares to sleep like this. Outside the secret realm at this moment, the king-level powerhouses were like cats whose tails had been stepped on. Almost all of them looked unhappy. As for the reason, very simple. Each of these hundreds of king-level experts is a martial arts practitioner. They are fans of martial arts. Lu Yu is now in the secret realm, making a splash as a beast master. And all the other talented students who practice martial arts look like clowns in contrast. Is this a slap in the face of a proud student? No. This slaps all martial arts practitioners in the face. And therefore, a group of people who had nothing to do with Lu Yu at all, and even king-level experts who had praised Lu Yu before, now started to point fingers at Lu Yu. The only one who didn't say anything rude was Zhang Zhenmin, Lu Yu's principal. Only, The look on Zhang Zhenmin's face at this moment also showed a hint of worry. The second beast tide assessment has just begun, and Lu Yu is already so popular. A tree that is beautiful in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Not to mention that Lu Yu's profession as a beast master is so special. If Lu Yu's performance later is not amazing enough, I'm afraid. Principal Zhang looked at the sleeping Lu Yu in the sky projection, but couldn't help but feel worried in his heart. Other side, in the secret realm, in front of hundreds of wooden houses located on the outskirts of the forest. The talented students from all over Zhang province are fighting against a herd of alien beasts. Outside cabin No. 095, Shen Tushang, whose hands were wrapped in scarlet alloy gloves, faced the second wave of beasts, surrounded by 50 steppenwolves, without any change in his expression. Bang! He threw punch after punch. Every punch kills a steppenwolf instantly. Weak, too weak, just a few minutes. The ground in front of Shen Tushang was covered with steppenwolf's corpses. Counting the first wave before, that adds up to exactly 100 steppenwolf carcasses. Each beast core is hidden deep inside. As for Shen Tushang, he didn't even bother to pick up these third-order beast cores. He is the same as before. Silently put away his gloves, sat cross-legged on the ground, and began to restore his strength, preparing to deal with the next wave of beasts. It would be best to have more exotic beasts, and higher-level ones would be even better. Shen Tushang muttered to himself. To him, a mere 103rd-level steppenwolves are really not enough for him to fight. Outside cabin 147. In front of Li Wanner, lay the charred corpses. They are all steppenwolves at the peak of the 3rd level. But, they didn't even touch the corners of Li Wanner's clothes, and were directly killed by the blazing sword energy. Elemental martial arts that are supposed to be mastered only by king-level warriors are now directly used by 6th-level Li Wanner. This scene, it also caused many king-level experts outside the secret realm to exclaim. On the contrary, some powerful people in Jinling were not surprised at all. This talented daughter of the Li family has a hidden fire attribute talent, which is already an open secret in Jinling City. I wonder how that guy Lu Yu is doing. Li Wanner also didn't pick up the corpse and dig out the beast's core. Instead, she started talking to herself. Those two sisters are so beautiful. How come you got an advantage over that stinky man Lu Yu? Outside cabin 299. In front of Shen Tianzong, 100 steppenwolves stood neatly. Every one of them is still alive. Each one is scarred. On the faces of these steppenwolves, you can even see a touch of humanized fear at this moment. Devil, so devilish. The young man they were facing swung out sword energy one after another, but each sword avoided the vital point. The first steppenwolf to arrive in the field. At this moment, there are even hundreds of sword marks on his body. But, Shen Tianzong was stunned, but he didn't kill it. One after another sword energy was swung from his hand, as precise as a scalpel. A few more minutes passed. Almost all the flesh and blood on the entire body of this group of steppenwolves was cut off by the sword energy, and they were almost out of wolf shape. They couldn't even stand, instead they all lay on the ground whimpering. It's boring. Swish. Shen Tianzong finally lost interest in practicing swordsmanship. He swung his sword again without raising his head. Within a radius of 10 meters, the sword energy roared and surged, and hundreds of steppenwolves were crushed to pieces. I really want to try Lu Yu's sword. Maybe that black cat trying the sword would be good too. Shen Tianzong raised his head and looked at the pieces of flesh and blood on the ground. Suddenly he smiled and muttered to himself. Time flies by. In the blink of an eye. It's dusk. The dark red sunset hung in the sky, slowly falling towards the horizon. It's sunset. The many steppenwolves entrenched in front of each cabin quickly retreated. All the talented students were finally relieved at this moment. It's finally over. Oh my god, I actually survived the first day. I only have the 3rd level peak. Alas, I can't contact them. Am I the only one in Yuncheng who has withstood today's beast wave? On the first day, you reached the peak of the 3rd level, and there were 50 of them. It's outrageous. Fortunately, there are only 2 waves of beasts here today. If there had been more, I might have been eliminated. Quote. Many of the student geniuses were sighing with emotion at this moment. Some students from the same city are also communicating with each other using communication bracelets under their respective teachers. Many people only found out at this time. His companions were eliminated by the beast wave on the first day. After all, a considerable number of students have not yet broken through to the 4th level. Facing the siege of a total of 103rd level peak beasts, it is extremely difficult. Certainly, in the eyes of the geniuses of big cities such as Jinling and Sioux City. Although the hundreds of Steppenwolves on the first day were powerful, they were only a little difficult and not overwhelming. I thought the beast tide was so powerful, but this is what happened. Yeah, it's too weak and boring. How long did it take you to deal with the 2 waves of beasts? It only took me half an hour. Half an hour. Such rubbish. I'll solve it in 20 minutes. I wonder how long it took Shen Tushang and the others. I would like to know how long it took Lu Yu. Among the discussions among the geniuses of these big cities, someone suddenly said this. For a while, the communication channel is silent. The moment he heard the name, Lu Yu, the pride and complacency on the faces of these big city geniuses all froze. They have always looked down on the so-called geniuses of small towns. In their view, they are just country bumpkins with a very low level of education. But Lu Yu is different. That's a wolf killer who can punch 1,000,000 pounds with one punch. Ahem, why do you want to talk to him nicely? Although that guy is very powerful, brute force cannot solve all problems. If you ask me, the time it took him to deal with the 2 waves of beasts might not be as fast as Shen Tushang and the others. Someone said this with a sour tone. And the words just fell. Buzz. In the secret realm, a trembling sound suddenly sounded. This moment, more than 400 students raised their heads and looked to the sky. What a big light curtain. Is it necessary to settle today's assessment rankings? Some clever students thought of the previously announced rules. And this is indeed the case. Buzz. With another burst of trembling sound. Lines of inked characters appeared on a huge light curtain as large as the sky. The settlement of assessment results on the first day begins. Passengers, 308. Eliminators, 102. Just the first 3 or 2 lines of text surprised many people. Good guy. This is only the first day, and 100 people have been eliminated, a quarter of the size. The following is the announcement of the first day assessment score ranking list. Tip. Assessment points determine the final assessment ranking. Points. Number of beasts killed, daily cumulative number of days of survival. See here, many people were stunned immediately. Especially the prodigies of the big city who were comparing their monster killing time with each other just now looked at each other in confusion. What the hell? Points are not calculated based on time. This is unreasonable. Didn't everyone encounter only 2 waves of beasts today, totaling 103rd level Steppenwolves? That's right. So as long as you pass the level, the points will be the same. That's not the case. Many people didn't kill all the Steppenwolves, but just barely resisted. The difference is not big. Which one of us, the geniuses of big cities, has not killed all the Steppenwolves? The information on the light screen caused a discussion among the students present. Even Shen Tushang, Li Weiner, Shen Tianzong and a few others. At this moment, everyone couldn't help but frown. This method of calculating points, doesn't it seem to highlight their strength compared to other students? Even, their rankings are probably the same as those of many ordinary students whom they look down upon at all. Think of this, Shen Tushang and the others, who had always been arrogant, inevitably felt a bit strange and uncomfortable in their hearts. I almost killed all the beasts in the fastest time. I thought I could crush that stinky man Lu Yu in the rankings on the first day. Li Weiner stamped her feet angrily at this moment. And immediately after, above the canopy, new lines of text emerged. The rankings are officially announced. But something special. This ranking seems to be announced starting from the bottom. 308. Meng Liang. Points. 18 *1. 18 *1. You mean to kill this man named Meng Liang, kill 18 strange beasts, and then multiply by the cumulative number of days of survival, which is 1 day. Is that what you mean? Someone concluded, but no more people responded. New names and points sprung up like mushrooms after a rain. 007 Cabin. Lu Yu woke up. He slept all day until dusk and the sun set, and he just got up now. Lu Yu, who just opened his eyes, even yawned. Sleeping too much makes people feel sleepy. Meow. On wooden bed. Quizanti rubbed Lu Yu affectionately and let out a soft cry. Talk about it. Lu Yu was able to wake up because of Quizanti. Otherwise, he might just sleep until tomorrow morning. Back, how was the harvest? Lu Yu rubbed his eyes, looked at Quizanti and asked. Meow, Quizanti called out. In this voice, Lu Yu could hear a bit of pride and pride. It seems. Did this little guy have a good harvest today? Crash. Without waiting for Lu Yu to say hello, Quizanti opened his small mouth, and the beast cores were spat out one after another. Lu Yu, who was a little dazed because he just woke up, suddenly opened his eyes wide. I am Sao, he even subconsciously said the quintessence of Chinese culture. Crash. The beast cores fell one by one on the wooden bed. Several minutes passed, and in front of Lu Yu, the beast cores have accumulated into a small mountain pile. At a glance, the number is probably in the thousands. No, it seems more than that. Lu Yu just wanted to count in detail how many beast cores Quizanti had brought back. Buzz, buzz, outside the cabin, above the sky. Suddenly there was a strong vibration. What's going on? Lu Yu was a little confused. He subconsciously looked through the window and looked out. Then, he saw the huge sky. He saw the words first day assessment points ranking. As well as, that tops the list. What just appeared was my name and points score. Sao, I'm so perverted. This moment, after seeing the numbers of points and scores clearly. Even Lu Yu himself, his eyes widened with surprise on his face. Above the sky, except Lu Yu, the rankings of the remaining 307 students have been released. It is worth mentioning, including Shen Tushang, Li Weiner and several others. A total of 53 people, tied for second place. Second place, Shen Tushang. Points, 100. Second place, Li Weiner. Points, 100. Second place, Shen Tianzong. Points, 100. Second place, Qin Xiao. Points, 100. Most of these 53 people are talented people from Jinling and Sioux City. But that was after the rankings were announced. Their faces all looked dull and stunned. 100 points is just second place. What the hell? And Lu Yu, where is Lu Yu? Why haven't I seen his name? Quote. In an instant, many students made a fuss. As for Shen Tushang and others, their expressions were extremely ugly at this moment. Lu Yu, if it weren't for the ranking being wrong. The number one ranking above all of them is Lu Yu. There are 2 waves of beasts in total, totaling 100 strange beasts. The maximum points limit is 100. Where did Lu Yu get more points? Did he kill more strange beasts? How is that possible? This moment, almost all students have such doubts in their hearts. But they didn't wait long to think about it. Buzz. Boom. The next moment, before the information about the first place appears, the sky that had been silent suddenly shook violently and made a loud noise. And immediately after, under the watchful eyes of hundreds of people inside and outside the secret, a large line of text finally appeared in the blank space at the top of the ranking list. First place, Lu Yu. Points, 1831. A simple 2 lines of text. After appearing, no matter outside the secret realm. At this moment, everyone's eyes widened and their breathing stopped. Dead silence, not to mention the more than 300 students who also participated in the assessment. Even the few martial arts supremes standing in the sky outside have expressions of disbelief at this moment. More than 1800, Lu Yu's black cat pet killed nearly 2,000 strange beasts in one afternoon. Kai Zongyan, the admissions teacher of Qinglong Martial Arts Academy who was always known for his calmness, could not help but exclaim at this moment. The supreme masters of the other 3 major martial arts schools also looked surprised at this moment, unable to speak a single word. The leader of the Black Dragon Army, Ku Yifeng, who was at the peak of his powers, fell into silence. In fact, these supreme leaders have overestimated Lu Yu's achievements as much as possible. But, these more than 1,800 points completely shattered their overestimation. Outrageous. Too outrageous. I just want to know how Lu Yu's black cat pet did it. There was a long silence. The shirtless man from Shuangwu Academy said something in a loud voice. Within the secret realm, there are more than 300, no, more than 400 students, together with the students who have been eliminated before and are now picking up rubbish outside the secret realm. Everyone. His face was filled with extreme shock and disbelief. Yes, this achievement. It's really too exaggerated. The second place only gets 100 points. And Lu Yu. He even reached 4 figures in points. You really want to beat up primitive people, right? Is this reasonable? This is unreasonable. What the hell? There must be something wrong with the rankings, right? Obviously everyone will only encounter 2 waves of beasts, with a total of 100 beasts, and the maximum points they can get are 100. If Lu Yu had a few points higher, even dozens of points, I wouldn't tolerate it. This is. I worked it until I got close to 2,000 points. Who believes it? After the initial shock, what followed was a wave of indignant questions. There is no other reason. Lu Yu's achievements were so exaggerated that they even exceeded the limits of everyone's imagination. At the same time, Zhang Zuying and Qin Xiao, who had been paying attention to the rankings, also opened their beautiful eyes slightly and were stunned. How did Lu Yu do it? That guy's points are so high. The 2 women were also confused at this moment. The difference is, although they were also shocked by Lu Yu's point score, they did not suspect the possibility of cheating at all. The only thing they want to know is, how did Lu Yu get more than 1,800 points? Inside cabin No. 007. Enable playback. Lu Yu, who was sitting on the wooden bed, was stunned when he heard the mechanical prompt sound that suddenly sounded in his ears. This sound, it seems to come from a secret realm. Because other examiners doubted my results, so I turned on the replay to prove my innocence. Lu Yu frowned slightly as he listened to the explanation on the prompt tone. To be honest, he didn't like this kind of self-evidence trap. It's similar to the dilemma of whether Xiao Luzi ate 1 bowl of noodles or 2 bowls of noodles. From the moment of self-certification, I have been at a disadvantage. Is there a reward? You should have told me earlier. Lu Yu, who was just about to refuse, suddenly sat up straight. The notification sound from the secret realm just told him. After turning on replay, he will be compensated with a special reward. Certainly, it cannot be said to be compensation. According to the system, my points on the first day greatly refreshed the historical record since the opening of the secret realm. Similar to the strength test steal, the secret realm will issue rewards to each assessor who refreshes the list record. And turning on the replay is equivalent to a process of public commendation. Think of this. The strange feeling of self-evident trap in Lu Yu's heart has finally disappeared. The next moment, Lu Yu grinned, touched Quazanti's head, and said boldly, "Play it back, it must be played back. If you don't pretend now, when will you wait?" On the wooden bed. Quazanti, who was rubbing Lu Yu affectionately, seemed to understand the meaning of this sentence. Meow, meow meow, he barked twice happily. His tone was full of pride in claiming credit. At the same time, his dark eyes turned, seemingly unintentionally aiming at the more than 1,000 beast cores piled up into a hill on the side. Meow, Quazanti called out again tentatively. Seeing this scene, Lu Yu suddenly laughed. Don't worry, it's all yours. When the replay is over and you get the reward from the secret realm, we will raise your level together. Lu Yu rubbed Quazanti's head. The latter gave a comfortable meow sound and lay down quietly next to Lu Yu. Lu Yu's gaze was through the window, looking at the light curtain above the sky. Buzz, buzz. Above the light curtain, there were waves of tremors. Vaguely, pictures began to emerge. The replay of Lu Yu's today's results is about to begin. Chapter 51. Within the secret realm, in front of hundreds of cabins. All the students were looking up at the sky at this moment. The trembling of the sky projection instantly attracted their attention. Last moment, in various communication channels, many students were still questioning, even accusing and abusing Lu Yu. Everyone was stunned at this moment. Immediately afterwards, then someone laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, I knew it. There is definitely a problem with the ranking display. Isn't this right? Lu Yu's real points score will be corrected soon." At this time, there are not a few people who have similar ideas, it can even be said to be the vast majority. The only exception, there were only Shen Tushang, Li Weiner, and Shen Tianzong. Ever since Lu Yu's results were announced, they all fell into silence and thinking. Complaining and questioning are the actions of the weak. As geniuses, their pride does not allow them to do such a thing. And therefore, in addition to Qin Xiao and Zhang Zuying, they are also the geniuses of these three major families. There is no doubt that Lu Yu's results are fake. Quite the opposite. What these three people are thinking about at the moment is how Lu Yu did it. In addition to the number of monsters killed and the number of days survived, are there other factors that affect the calculation of points? Shen Tushang frowned tightly, rubbed the gloves of his hands, and muttered to himself. Everyone encounters only 100 beasts, but Lu Yu can break this limit. Is it because he ranked first in the previous strength test that he received special treatment from the Secret Realm rules? Shen Tianzong squinted his eyes and muttered to himself. How did that stinky man do it? Is it possible that he walked out of the safe zone? Hiss. Yes, there's no rule against leaving the safe house area. That's not right. Even if Lu Yu really goes into the wilderness to hunt exotic beasts, the points are not worth it. Can he hunt nearly 2,000 exotic beasts in one afternoon? Li Wanner wrinkled her pretty face, suddenly enlightened for a moment, and full of doubts for a moment, talking non-stop to the air. Buzz. Everyone's various ideas will not affect the operation of the rules of the secret realm. Above the sky, on the projection of the curtain, there seemed to be layers of ripples. The ranking list carrying more than 300 names slowly disappeared. Instead, it's a realistic scene that feels like being there. The beginning of the picture. A cabin numbered 007 appears. Then, a line of text notes appeared immediately. Replay of Lu Yu's first day assessment screen has been started. A simple single line of text. Immediately, many students who were still shouting about false grades and Lu Yu cheated had their words stuck in their throats. The student who yelled out in the first place. One face even turned red and turned purple. The scene in front of me proves it. Lu Yu's achievements have been recognized by the rules of the secret realm. Even now they are doing replays and publicly commending them in front of all evaluators. Can you bear this? Above the sky, the picture is like a lens, slowly zooming in from outside the wooden house. Soon, passed through the wooden door and came to the house. Such movement of the mirror immediately made all the students confused. What the hell? Didn't the beast tide come from outside the wooden house? Why don't we go inside the house this time? One student was only halfway through what he said. He was immediately stuck. His eyes were very, very big. Because, in the playback screen, Lu Yu's figure appeared. He was actually lying on the bed. The whole person is posing in a big font. Sleeping. This moment, within the secret realm, hundreds of students were in complete silence. The most outrageous thing is. Next scene, Lu Yu, who was sleeping soundly on the wooden bed, turned over and started mumbling in his sleep. It would be nice if this bed was softer. Just such a dreamy words. Now, under the playback in the secret realm, it sounded in everyone's ears at the same time. In this tone, 3 points of dissatisfaction, 3 points of satisfaction, 2 points of pity, and 2 points of comfort. I won't give it to all students directly. What the hell? The secret realm wants to tell us. The way Lu Yu got first place and scored more than 1,800 points was by sleeping. Some students broke the defense. Don't say names. Because all defenses are broken. At this moment. Don't talk about ordinary students and geniuses. Shen Tushang, Li Wanner, and Shen Tianzong all had their mouths twitching. Ouch, this stinky man, how can he be so pretentious? I feel so unhappy. The proud daughter of the Li family, Li Weiner, her pretty face turned red with anger, and she was stomping her feet helplessly on the spot. Shen Tushang and Shen Tianzong, on the other hand, lowered their heads silently and forcibly looked away from Lu Yu, who was sleeping in the sky. This guy, first place in sleeping, just beat up the primitive people, right? Lu Yu probably relies on pet beasts to fight. He is sleeping in the house, and the pet beast is going to fight against the beast tide. In the midst of shock and numbness, someone gritted his teeth and spoke out this speculation. And the next moment, as if to confirm this sentence, the camera of the playback screen turned, slowly exiting the wooden house, and zooming towards the endless wilderness outside the wooden house. The camera zooms in extremely quickly. Just the blink of an eye. He directly broke through the invisible barrier 3 kilometers away and came to the endless wilderness. And this moment, the scene above the endless wilderness was finally revealed to everyone. Big, this is endless wilderness, and above the wilderness, Countless wasteland wolves are wandering and entrenched. I understand. Lu Yu's points are so high because he let his pet beasts leave the safe house area and go directly to the wilderness to kill monsters. At this point, even the dullest people reacted. And the next moment, buzz. In the picture, a soft groan once again attracted everyone's attention. They raised their heads and stared closely. Then, sluggish again, on a large land in the wilderness, a black cat only 40 centimeters long jumped into the air. Then, there was a flash of black light. The figure of the black cat disappeared. Instead, it's a dark and mysterious vortex. Kwazanti's bloodline skills. But the difference is, after absorbing 10 elemental crystals, this dark element bloodline skill has been greatly improved. Just like this moment, initially there was only a black hole vortex the size of a basketball. Just the past few breaths, it has expanded to a diameter of 5 meters. And, still expanding, buzz, buzz, over the wilderness. The power of dark elements continues to surge, boiling like boiling water, and converges towards the black hole vortex. The dark vortex continued to expand and grow. That's all. Under the watchful eyes of hundreds of people inside and outside the secret. I don't know how much time has passed. The area of the black hole vortex reaches a diameter of 100 meters. It is suspended in midair. It even casts a huge shadow on the ground. Meow. And just then, above the silently rotating black hole vortex, a cat meowed suddenly. But this is a sound that is harmless to humans and animals. Boom. Rumble. Black hole vortex. Instant riot. It began to spin crazily at a speed that was difficult to catch with the naked eye. This moment, within a radius of dozens of miles, all the wandering wasteland wolves seemed to have been pressed on the time pause button, and their bodies were all frozen in place. The next moment, the storm of dark elements roars. Swish. Thousands of steppenwolves were swamped by the power of the dark element like a vast ocean. They flew uncontrollably towards the black hole vortex in midair. This moment, when I saw this shocking scene. Don't talk about other students. Even Lu Yu was stunned at this moment. Nice Kwazanti. I asked you to kill monsters, but what about Yiwu small commodity wholesale? Within the secret realm, above the sky, everyone raised their heads blankly, staring at the huge black hole with a diameter of 100 meters. Dark, deep, mysterious, and powerful. Under their helpless gaze, one by one, wild wolves and strange beasts, like little lambs, were dragged into the black hole by the power of dark elements. A full half-hour passed. Within a radius of 10 miles. No more steppenwolf to be seen. All were sucked in by the black hole vortex. Gulu. This moment, I don't know how many subconscious swallowing sounds resounded in the secret realm. The power of this black hole is too exaggerated. The most terrible thing is, all students have seen clearly before. This black hole is the transformation of Lu Yu's seemingly harmless black cat pet. In Jade Plaza before, I even praised the black cat for being cute. A female student murmured blankly. At that time, when Lu Yu summoned Kwazanti for the first time, she even wanted to pet the cat. Hiss. The female student suddenly took a sharp breath of cold air, and her scalp felt numb. She raised her head and looked at the huge black hole with a diameter of 100 meters in the sky. This moment, she actually felt lucky to have survived the catastrophe and survived the disaster. Cute. How cute is Lu Yu's black cat? It killed thousands of peak third-level steppenwolves in one breath. If it wants to kill itself instantly, maybe there is no need to use the black hole, just wave your claws and you will get down. Meow, meow meow. In the sky screen, several cute cat meows suddenly sounded, attracting everyone's attention again. I don't know when. The 100-meter black hole in the sky had disappeared, replaced by the 40-centimeter-long black kitten. It was holding its head high, with a somewhat humane look of pride on its little face. Swish. The next moment, the black cat turned into an afterimage of black light and disappeared in place. When everyone saw clearly again, the black cat had already appeared outside Lu Yu's cabin No. 007. So far, the playback screen stopped abruptly and turned into darkness. After a while, rows of names and points information reappeared. Hanging high on the top of the rankings is Lu Yu's exaggerated and unreasonable first-day results. First place, Lu Yu. Points, 1831. The difference is. This moment, hundreds of students looked at the numbers that were overwhelming them like a cliff. Not a single voice of doubt came out. Hundreds of people, silent. The next moment, above the canopy, 2 new lines of text appeared. Assessor Lu Yu breaks the first day points record. Reward. The best source crystal 10. Needless to say, a simple 2 lines of text caused another wave of waves in the secret realm. Cabin No. 007. Swish. Lu Yu's eyes flashed with white light. In his hand, 10 crystal clear top quality source crystals appeared out of thin air. Only 10 yuan. So stingy. Lu Yu complained angrily. The notification sound from the secret realm seemed to have heard Lu Yu's complaint and quickly explained. Oh, you mean, this just refreshed the historical record on the first day, so the reward is not very generous. If we can refresh the historical record of the final assessment, can we obtain rewards that are no less than those in the previous strength test? Lu Yu muttered a few words and didn't bother much. Anyway, I didn't pay anything, I just replayed the battle scene. He even asked Kwazanti to pretend to be a bit of a fool. It's simple, even if you harvest 10 top-grade source crystals, you can accept it. Think of this. Lu Yu looked at Kwazanti. Meow meow. Kwazanti looked longingly at the top-quality source crystal in Lu Yu's hand, and his mouth was almost watering. The previous 100 top-quality source crystals were all monopolized by that big guy Caesar. It just made do with some leftover soup. Don't worry. It's all for you. Lu Yu chuckled. In Kwazanti's extremely happy eyes, he took it into the beast control space. Then, Lu Yu sat cross-legged on the wooden bed, and with a thought, activated his talent, transformation. Buzz. A burst of space fluctuation spread. A total of 1831 beast cores piled up on the wooden bed, together with the 10 top-quality source crystals in Lu Yu's hand, all disappeared. And in the beast controlling space inside Lu Yu's body, waves of intense beast controlling power emerged. Meow, meow meow, Kwazanti shouted, his tone extremely cheerful. Its dark eyes even deliberately squinted at the big guy Caesar in the corner. The little face is full of the joy of 30 years to the east of the river, 30 years to the west of the river. The master said so. This time the power of controlling the beast is all for myself. Snort. Caesar, who was more than 800 meters tall in the corner, glanced at Kwazanti, snorted, and looked away. Only, intentionally or unintentionally, it still couldn't help it, and glanced at the massive beast controlling power rushing toward Kwazanti. Don't know why. The corners of its mouth seemed slightly moist. I wonder when the master will call me to fight. In that case, I will also have a chance to absorb the power of beast control in advance. Caesar wiped the corners of his mouth and muttered to himself. When will Caesar be called to battle? On the wooden bed. Lu Yu raised his eyebrows slightly as he listened to the voice coming from the bottom of his heart. To be honest, at the beginning, he had the idea of hiding Caesar. After all, his first giant beast pet was picked from the peaches of City Lord Lin and others. And now, after Caesar restored his king-level combat power, Lu Yu had much less worries in this regard. When it's time for Caesar to take action, there is no need to hesitate. If he hit it, wouldn't this king-level beast be blind in vain? The scale and level of this beast tide must be getting stronger day by day. If you want to refresh the historical record of the list, you must persist in surviving. I wonder what the highest level of the secret beast tide is. 9th level, or king level. At that time, even if Kwazanti can use beast cores to upgrade his level every day, I'm afraid he won't be able to deal with it alone. At that time, it will be time for Caesar to make his official debut. Lu Yu looked out the window at the endless dark wilderness, thoughts swirling in his mind. And the next moment, a clear beep suddenly sounded in his ears, interrupting his thoughts. Charging of beast control power has been completed. Do you want to advance? Lu Yu was not surprised by this news. He is now at the 6th level, and the power of beast control reached 75% before charging. Now, more than 1,800 third-level beast cores are being transformed together with 10 top-quality source crystals, of which 30% of the beast-controlling power is fed back to charge himself for advancement. No matter how much energy is required for the later advancement of a beast master, it is impossible not to meet the advancement conditions. Advanced, Lu Yu shouted softly. The next moment, Waves of fluctuations came from his body. It's night. Lu Yu stepped into the realm of 7th level Beast Master. Inside cabin No. 007, Lu Yu, who was sitting cross-legged on the wooden bed, suddenly opened his eyes. Crackling. There were bursts of sounds like exploding beans coming from Lu Yu's body. Every time a Beast Master advances, his personal physique will be improved to a certain extent. Although it's not much, it's still a small increase. Certainly, what Lu Yu really cares about is the new talents he gets after advancing. Swish. A thought came to my mind. A semi-illusory personal information panel appeared in front of Lu Yu. Lu Yu didn't read much of the similar information before. His eyes fell directly on the talent column. After level 7, new talents can be unlocked. And this is the moment. After Lu Yu saw those simple lines of text, his pupils suddenly shrank. Immediately afterwards, his face was full of excitement and ecstasy. This new talent is so perfect. Level 7 talent. Damage transfer. Any damage suffered by the Beast Master, including but not limited to physical damage, elemental damage, mental damage, etc., will be transferred to the pet beast in a certain proportion. Current transfer ratio, 50%. Note, the transfer ratio increases with level up to 100%. Invincible. After Lu Yu saw this new talent, he just wanted to say, I am invincible. Damage transfer. This is a magical skill that countless people have imagined. Especially for someone as fragile as the Beast Master. Although Lu Yu's physique and strength are now comparable to those of a giant beast after activating, sharing, but who is willing to resist if the damage can be deflected? Not to mention, this damage includes all kinds of damage. Lu Yu, who has read a lot of online articles, knows very well that often in the later stages, the combat power of both sides is no longer a matter of hands and feet, but may even be a collision of laws, curses, and cause and effect. That kind of power is so unpredictable and impossible to guard against. But with the talent of damage transfer, everything is no longer a problem. Perhaps we can contract a giant spiritual beast in the future, specially designed to resist mental damage. As for physical damage, Caesar is rough-skinned and thick-bodied, so it will definitely be fine. Quizanti should take the ultimate elemental route, which can help me resist elemental damage. Lu Yu was thinking in his mind. He looked at this new talent, and the more he looked at it, the more he liked it, and the more he looked at it, the better he felt. Even Lu Yu couldn't help but think about it. If this damage transfer ratio is increased to 100%. So what is the situation? The enemy is bombarding me wildly, but even if I just carry it hard, I can still get away unscathed. As long as the pet can bear it. I'm invincible. Lu Yu couldn't help but sigh again. This trip to the provincial examination secret place was really not in vain. In just one day, the improvement of myself and my pet beast was like riding a rocket. But I just received so much beast controlling power, but it only improved by 1 level. Waited for a long time. Lu Yu realized that he hadn't waited for the advanced prompt sound to sound when charging was complete. He couldn't help but frown and looked at the personal panel. Charging progress, 100%. For a while, Lu Yu was stunned. And soon, he saw a line of small text notes below. The prerequisites have not been completed and the advancement is temporarily unavailable. Prerequisite. At least 2 pet beasts have reached the king level 1/2. Lu Yu. No, he knew all these words. Put together, why is it so niche that I can't understand it? I am going to advance to level 8, and I need to cultivate 2 king-level pet beasts first. Perhaps this is what the god of war and Lao Wang said about the flaws of beast masters. This moment, after Lu Yu's initial confusion, he reacted belatedly. The profession of beast master has never appeared in Blue Star in 50 years. But it's a coincidence. That god of martial arts was the one who could conclusively conclude that the profession of beast master was flawed and only martial arts was perfect. According to Lao Wang, the conclusion of the god of war was also prompted by the temple. Temple, that is the source of all extraordinary human power. Even the personal information panel, advanced notification sounds, skill information, etc. summoned by Lu Yu at this moment. The source is all from the temple. Lu Yu didn't understand before. Why do you deny yourself a little beastmaster in the dignified temple? Now that he saw this advanced condition, he understood a little bit. This condition is too exaggerated. How does a 7th level beast master cultivate a king level pet beast? If, without these god level talents, this is almost as difficult as a natural chasm, or even impossible to do. So, perhaps there is nothing wrong with the conclusion of the god of war in the temple. The profession of beast master is indeed flawed. It's just that I can unlock god level talents every time I advance, which just makes up for this shortcoming. Lu Yu's thoughts swirled in his mind. He took a deep breath and looked away from the personal panel. Anyway, I am still lucky. 2 king level pet beasts, with god level talents, Lu Yu is fully capable of doing it. Caesar is already king, the only one is Quizanti. But if every subsequent tide of beasts can produce the same harvest as today, it might not be difficult for Quizanti to advance to the king level. Lu Yu muttered to himself and looked at the beast controlling space within his body. In space, Quizanti, in the form of a black cat, has disappeared. Instead, it's a giant black cocoon. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of a strong heart beating came from the black cocoon. You can tell, Quizanti's advancement this time will be a huge improvement, and he may even be completely reborn. Fortunately, even if you are temporarily unable to advance, the charge of the beast control power can be stored, and you can continue to charge it after you advance, so it is not a waste. Lu Yu muttered a few words. Then, looking out the window at the dark night, he also had no intention of staying up late to practice. It's getting dark and it's time to sleep. How can I not sleep at this age? Lu Yu fell asleep and slept soundly. But none of the hundreds of other students in the secret realm could sleep. Inside Safe House No. 095, Shen Tushang sat cross-legged on the ground with a solemn expression. He rubbed the scarlet gloves on his hands. The communication bracelet worn on his right wrist reflected a video picture the size of a computer screen. This is a more advanced communication bracelet than Lu Yu and others. Not only can you communicate by voice, you can even make video calls. And this is also a high-end resource that only the Jinling family has. In the video screen in front of Shen Tushang, what appeared was a face that Lu Yu was very familiar with. Lin Chengyuan, I need an explanation. Bang. Shen Tushang suddenly punched the ground without any warning. The ground within 100 meters radius was trembling. And his voice was extremely deep, filled with strong anger and dissatisfaction. Before entering the secret realm, this little follower from Luo City has to help him deal with Lu Yu. Before, Shen Tushang didn't take Lu Yu seriously at all. And now, be it the strength test or the first day beast tide assessment, Lu Yu has already shown strength that far exceeds that of his peers. Even someone as arrogant as Shen Tushang would not think that he is qualified to confront Lu Yu head-on. Let yourself take the initiative to provoke Lu Yu. How could Lin Chengyuan ask himself to help? He wants to make a fool of himself, or even want to die. In the secret realm shrouded in darkness. In Safe House No. 038. Lin Chengyuan heard Shen Tushang's roar. His face turned pale instantly. Master Shen Tu, I definitely have no intention of harming you, absolutely not. Lin Chengyuan is also a smart man. In a short time, he guessed the reason why Shen Tushang was angry at this moment and what he was thinking. Shen Tushang thought, I asked him to deal with Lu Yu because I deliberately harmed him. Lin Chengyuan absolutely cannot afford such a big crime. Not to mention him, even with his king-level father, he can't afford it. A king-level powerhouse can still dominate in Luo City, but in front of the 3 major families in Jinling like the Shentu family. Like shrimp ants, the opponent can be crushed to death with just a pinch. Lin Chengyuan covered the right side of his face, which was still a little red and swollen, and shouted over and over again through the video communication. He looked extremely embarrassed. Him at this moment. Is there any trace of the majestic look he had as the son of the city lord when he was in Luo City? His posture is humble, like a lowly person in the audience. I said it. I need an explanation. At the other end of the video screen, Shen Tushang's expression softened a little. He had been carried away by anger before. But after calming down a little, he realized that Lin Chengyuan and even his king-level father did not have the guts to plot against him. The anger of the Shentu family was not something that Lin and his son could handle. In the cabin, Lin Chengyuan, who was already kneeling on his knees with his forehead pressed against the floor, finally felt relieved after hearing these words. Only, although Lin Chengyuan raised his head, he did not get up from the ground, but remained kneeling on the ground. Master Shintu, I wanted to tell you about this before, said. Lin Chengyuan began to explain, word for word, the ins and outs of how he was going to deal with Lu Yu in detail. The final assessment of Luokang No. 1 Middle School. The king-level beast in the K2 area. Lord Lin returned empty-handed. A giant beast that mysteriously disappeared. A long hair remains at the scene. Even, Lin Chengyuan revealed for the first time the secret that he had been secretly in love with Zhang Zuying for many years and that he hated Lu Yu deep down in his heart. The more Shen Tushang listened, the more complicated and inexplicable the expression on his face became. And in the end, Lin Chengyuan gritted his teeth and said, "So, when my father came back that day, I recognized that hair. It belonged to Zhang Zuying." Shen Tushang was stunned when he heard this, and subconsciously asked, "How did you recognize it?" Lin Chengyuan's expression changed, but he still blushed and said truthfully, "I sit at the table behind her and stare at her hair every day. I can even recognize how many curls there are in her hair." Shen Tushang. What the hell? Even if it was Shen Tushang, he was a little embarrassed at this moment. This Lin Chengyuan looks very scheming, but turns out to be a hopeless love brain, right? Ahem. Shen Tushang coughed twice and signaled Lin Chengyuan to continue talking about business. Lin Chengyuan finally recovered from his deep self-indulgence. A few days ago, when Lin Qicheng asked him why he could recognize that hair, Lin Chengyuan said the same thing. As a result, I received a slap, and the right side of my face is still swollen. In Lin Qicheng's words, why did he give birth to such an unsatisfactory son? Lin Chengyuan shook his head, put away the messy thoughts, took a breath, and continued. Afterwards, my father used various means to confirm that the hair came from Zhang Zuying. And coincidentally, Zhang Zuying and Lu Yu were the last to come out of the dense forest that day during the final assessment. Combined with the disappearance of the king-level beast, my father speculated. It's very possible that the two of them stole the giant beast. Speaking of which, Lin Chengyuan took a long breath. Shen Tushang, on the other hand, frowned tightly. Steal the beast. Lu Yu and Zhang Zuying, do they still have storage equipment that can absorb living creatures? No, it's impossible. That kind of equipment is priceless. Not to mention them, even my Shintu family only has a few senior members of the family. Shen Tushang said, paused, and then said, if it's a corpse, it's possible. Can Lu Yu and Zhang Zuying kill the giant beast? No matter how seriously injured the giant beast is and is on the verge of death, with the beast's physique, even if it stands still, it cannot be heard by warriors below the king level. Although Shen Tushang looked like a reckless man. But after all, as the young master of the Shintu family, his mind is very sharp. In just a short moment, various possibilities were deduced. And that's when Lin Chengyuan suddenly said out of nowhere. My father then went to the temple and spent a lot of money to divine information about the king-level beast. The result is, the giant beast is still alive, not dead. As soon as this statement came out, Shen Tushang was stunned. But Lin Chengyuan's words were not surprising, and then he said, my father and I thought over and over again, and in the end, there was only one possibility that could explain the reason for the disappearance of the giant beast. What's possible? Shen Tushang asked. Lin Chengyuan took a deep breath, and then said word by word. Lu Yu. The only variable is Lu Yu. His profession. It's the Beast Master. Speaking of which, Lin Chengyuan said no more. As for Shen Tushang, his eyes suddenly widened. Impossible. How is this possible? The young master of the Shintu family unexpectedly lost his temper and shouted loudly at this moment. Lin Chengyuan, on the other hand, remained silent and did not speak. In fact, when his father came to this conjecture before, Lin Chengyuan's reaction was the same as Shen Tushang's, even more exaggerated. At that time, in Lin Chengyuan's eyes, Lu Yu was just a beast master who had gone astray. Although his black cat showed a certain amount of combat power in the final assessment. But, nothing more than that. City Lord Lin's speculation is, as a beast master, Lu Yu has methods that no one can understand. It's very possible that he can contain that giant beast. Even, he has the means to contract that seriously injured king-level beast as a pet. This speculation can be described as appalling and mind-numbing. Yes. Now, Shen Tushang understood the meaning of this speculation. Goosebumps instantly appeared all over his body. If this were true, doesn't it mean that Lu Yu has a king-level beast pet? What is this concept? King-level beast. That is an existence that can defeat a king-level warrior and even compete with the supreme human martial arts master. Silence. Two people video communicating fell into a long silence. Shen Tushang said nothing, and so did Lin Chengyuan. I don't know how much time has passed. Final. Shen Tushang stood up and stroked the scarlet gloves in his hands. His voice was low but powerful. Whether this speculation is true or not, I don't want to think about it just yet. Lu Yu is very strong, his beast master is very strong, and his pet beast is also very strong. But, we warriors should use the weak to defeat the strong and win the destiny. Tomorrow there will be an influx of beasts. I will go deep into the wilderness and hunt the strange beasts. Lu Yu is not the only evil genius in this world. The long dark night will eventually pass. The moon rises and sets, and it's a new day. Early in the morning light just fell on the ground. In front of hundreds of cabins on the edge of the forest, hundreds of students almost all walked out immediately. They held various swords or long swords in their hands, looking ready to go. Today, go deep into the wilderness. Kill strange beasts and earn points. That's right, Lu Yu can kill this strange beast, but we can't. Get out of the safe house. Must, quote. More than 300 students were all excited to fight at this moment. In yesterday's assessment, whether it was the strength test or the beast tide points, Lu Yu took the lead, and they all became background. But, they are not just ordinary cats and dogs. There are tens of thousands of senior high school students in Zhang province, and they are the 300 best among them. In their respective cities, who is not a young genius who is looked up to by everyone? And therefore, after a night, instead of being beaten down by Lu Yu and losing their confidence, their fighting spirit became even more burning. The end of the wilderness. A red sun rises slowly from the horizon, until it hangs completely upside down in the sky. 3 kilometers away from the edge of the forest is the junction of the wilderness and safe house areas. At some point, the invisible barrier seemed to have broken through a small hole. Above the wilderness, the herds of alien beasts that were originally wandering and entrenched were rushing toward the gap like cats that smelled a fishy smell. Then, under the influence of the mysterious rules of the secret realm, there happened to be only 2 waves of beasts entering each safe house area. The number is the same as yesterday, and the total number is still 100. Equivalent, but it's a whole new level. Steppenwolf at the peak of the 4th level. A whole 100. This moment, outside each safe house, many of the talented students who had been gearing up were suddenly confused. Nima, what the hell? Yesterday it was just a 3rd level peak beast herd, and today it has reached the 4th level peak. What the hell? Or will the 2 waves of beasts come together? This is deep into the wilderness of Hammer. It's a blessing to be able to hold the safe house. Quote. Last moment, many students are still full of fighting spirit. At this time, his face was a little pale. The peak of the 4th level. Most of these students are only in the 4th level. Only the geniuses from Jinling and Sioux City have reached the 5th level. As for the 6th level, Shen Tushang, Li Weiner, Shen Tianzong, plus Lu Yu. 104th level peak beasts. What the hell? Even a 5th level warrior can handle it, right? Many students from small towns who were only at the 4th level or even the 3rd level were speechless and embarrassed. The slogans just shouted loudly. Later, you may have to be surrounded by a herd of beasts and run away with your head in your arms. Who can bear this contrast? Oh shit, so what about the 4th level peak? Who doesn't have the strength to fight beyond the level? Fight. After the initial confusion and panic, most students adjusted their mentality as quickly as possible. These young geniuses come from various cities and places in Zhang province. Soon he was fighting with a group of alien beasts. Outside cabin No. 095, Shen Tushang rubbed the scarlet gloves on his hands. His slightly rough face showed a rare smile. Level 4 peak beast herd. This is a little bit interesting. The words just fell. Boom. The fist wind has swept out. Bang. Shen Tushang's battle is extremely simple and crude. No fancy martial arts. Just punch. One punch at a time, clean and neat. 100 strange beasts, then 100 punches. To know, in the previous strength test, he punched out 150,000 kilograms of force and made it to the top of the rankings. And at this moment, Shen Tushang just punched randomly. Each of the 4th level peak Steppenwolf beasts turned into clouds of blood mist in the explosion. That's all. It only takes less than 10 minutes. 100 strange beasts were killed by Shen Tushang. The next step is to go deep into the wilderness. Shen Tushang wiped the blood-stained fist gloves without stopping at all, and walked towards the distant wilderness step by step. Except for Shen Tushang, Li Weiner and Shen Tianzong also used their own methods. They all used the fastest speed to deal with the hundreds of Steppenwolves on the second day. Then, also without stopping at all, quickly galloped towards the distant wilderness. Although Lu Yu is strong, they all have the pride of being a genius. I don't believe that even a stinky man can't be compared to a cat. In the afterimage, Li Weiner muttered to herself. There was a faint dark red flame dancing in her bright eyes. The way of swordsmanship should be respected. Around Shen Tianzong, waves of sword energy roared. Wherever you go, the whole earth is in ruins and chaos. Outside the secret realm, a group of king-level experts from various cities also walked out of the camp tents or source airships early. Their eyes were fixed on the real-time images of each student on the sky screen projection. Within the secret realm, regardless of level, almost all students showed their talents and tried their best. Today is the real fight between dragon and tiger. A king-level expert couldn't help but sigh. As soon as this statement came out, it also attracted many powerful people, especially many king-level powerful people from Jinling City to respond. Isn't it? Although Lu Yu's results were outstanding yesterday, he only relied on the convenience of being the first to walk out of the wilderness. Today, the geniuses of the 3 major families in Jinling also go deep into the wilderness to kill monsters, and their results may not be as good as Lu Yu's. What Brother Zhang said is absolutely true. When the king-level strongman named Zhang heard this, the smile on his face became even stronger. He paused, and then said slowly. Moreover, as you and I can see, the beast tide has risen by a whole level today. Directly promoted from the 3rd level peak to the 4th level peak. If I read it correctly yesterday, Lu Yu's black cat pet beast is only worthy of the 4th level. The 4th level is against the 3rd level peak. Its black hole skill is indeed terrifying enough, but level 4 versus peak level 4. I don't believe that Lu Yu's black cat can kill the beasts on a large scale like yesterday. As soon as this statement came out, many king-level experts nodded silently after pondering. Even Zhang Zhenmin couldn't help but sigh. What he had been worried about yesterday actually happened. Think of this. Zhang Zhenmin raised his head and searched for Lu Yu's live perspective in hundreds of pictures. Not long after, his eyes suddenly froze and he was stunned. Lu Yu, you're still sleeping. For a while. Zhang Zhenmin was stunned. It's not just him. The other hundreds of king-level experts were speechless and choked after seeing this scene. Is this guy Lu Yu really here to take the provincial examination in the secret realm, not to sleep? No, how much does he like to sleep? And if Lu Yu knew what they were thinking, he would only reply. Do you understand what relaxation is? Cabin No. 007. Lu Yu woke up. Drowsily, he reached up and rubbed his eyes. Speaking of which, it was the movement of the beast tide outside that woke him up. Because of this, Lu Yu is not in a very good mood now and gets angry when he wakes up. Quizanti. Subconsciously, Lu Yu was about to say hello and ask Kuisong to go out and deal with this wave of beasts first. And then, he was suddenly stunned. Quizanti. It seems that the evolution is not complete yet. Lu Yu calmed down and looked into the beast controlling space. Corner. Above the black cocoon, there is a flickering light. Waves of powerful heartbeats resounded throughout the entire beast-controlling space. The power of dark elements, like a vast ocean, all gathered around the black cocoon, being absorbed in one wave after another. Do you need at least a full day? Through communication with his mind, Lu Yu got the exact time from Quezon. My lord, I am willing to fight for you. At this time, Caesar's voice suddenly sounded like thunder. Rumble. He stood up, and his height of 700 meters began to increase rapidly. Just a moment, it reached a staggering 8,400 meters. The terrifying king-level aura swept away from him, stirring up a storm throughout the beast-controlling space. Lu Yu heard this but remained silent. He looked out the window. Outside the cabin, the stepland wolves were already approaching, even less than 200 meters away from the wooden house. This distance, Lu Yu looked at Caesar, who was like a giant holding up the sky in the beast control space. I'm a little worried that if he punches him, not only will he kill the herd of beasts, but his cabin will also be wiped out. Forget it, forget it. It's just a fourth-order peak beast, but it won't be enough for you to show up. Lu Yu shook his head and withdrew his mind from the beast control space. Call. He breathed a long sigh of relief. He sat up from the wooden bed. There was a crackling sound all over the body. Talk about it. After advancing last night, Lu Yu also wanted to try his own strength. To know, as he broke through to the 7th level, the proportions of each talent also increased accordingly. Shared talent ratio, 50% 60%. Maximum number of shares, 3 right pointing arrow 4. Amplification talent ratio, 60% 70%. These 3 talents related to one's own combat power have all been greatly improved. Dealing with a group of 4th level peak beasts, it would not be enough to use Caesar's strength. Lu Yu thought Quesenti's move, Dark Element Vortex, was quite appropriate and pretentious. Perhaps, have you ever heard of rubbing a black hole with your hands? Lu Yu muttered to himself. A compassionate and peaceful smile appeared on his face. Outside the secret realm, a group of king-level experts are rushing to criticize Lu Yu's behavior. Yes, criticism. Lu Yu looks too tired and lazy. Isn't it? He doesn't really think that the black cat can kill instantly like yesterday, right? I always feel that this young man is very pretentious. Doesn't it make me feel a little unhappy for no reason? Only those who have the ability are qualified to show off, otherwise they will be called clowns. Quote. Many king-level experts, you speak and I speak. How do they still have the slightest bit of majesty as a king-level powerhouse at this moment? One by one, they are like tongue-tied women in the streets. Find out the reason. Or because of Lu Yu's profession as a beast master. Lu Yu's performance yesterday slapped all martial arts practitioners in the face. Except for Zhang Zhenmin, almost all the other king-level experts were somewhat displeased with Lu Yu. Hee, young man, why don't you summon that black cat? 104th level peak beasts, do you really think Lu Yu can deal with them so easily? Have you forgotten that Lu Yu tested his strength before and punched 1,000,000 pounds? Among the crowd, someone suddenly said this quietly. Suddenly, the atmosphere outside the secret realm is silent. Can be followed immediately. At the beginning, the king-level powerhouse named Zhang sneered. One punch weighs 1,000,000 pounds. But doesn't Lu Yu like to sleep? Why is it that now that Black Cat can't deal with it, he goes into battle himself? Even if he can punch one today, I will still laugh at him. Such remarks can be described as scoundrel. But by accident. That's what many people really think. This is exactly what Zhang Zhenmin was worried about yesterday. Lu Yu's tone was too high. Even now, even if he has unparalleled strength, if he punches one punch at a time, he will still appear to be inferior and hit himself in the face while he was sleeping yesterday. I hope there will be a turn for the better. Zhang Zhenmin sighed, raised his head, and continued to stare at the sky screen. Within the secret realm, in front of cabin No. 007. Lu Yu stood there, looking at the group of strange beasts that were only 100 meters away from him. All peaks of the 4th level. I'm afraid it's not easy to deal with ordinary assessment students. Lu Yu could even predict that many people would be eliminated today. But what does it have to do with me? Lu Yu shook his head and laughed. Closer. A full pack of 100 steppe wolves had already approached to a distance of only 50 meters. This distance, for 4th level beasts, it can be said that they can be reached in just one breath. Roar. The group of steppenwolves even roared ferociously at this moment. Their faces all showed bloodthirsty cruelty and violence. And Lu Yu, he said silently in his mind, activate your talent, share it. Shared object, Quesenti. Buzz. Almost instantly. Lu Yu's aura changed, him at this moment, sharing a full 70% of Quesenti's entire realm, bloodline, strength, and skills. Him at this moment, It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a human-shaped night element devouring beast. The most important thing is, although Kwazanti has not completely evolved at this moment, his state is no longer the 4th level of yesterday, but the 5th level, the peak of the 5th level. After Lu Yu shared 70%, he also had a realm as high as the mid-5th level. Certainly, it doesn't matter either. What really matters is, Lu Yu can now use Kwazanti's dark element vortex, which looks very cool. Even benefiting from Kwazanti's current evolution, this skill has also been greatly improved. It's my first time rubbing a black hole with my hands, so I'm a little nervous. Lu Yu chuckled to himself. The steppe wolves were almost about to pounce on his face. Outside the secret realm, all the king-level experts looked like they were looking at the joke at this moment. Only Zhang Zhenmin's face was solemn and full of worry. And the next moment, no matter Zhang Zhenmin, or the other hundreds of king-level experts, or even the 5 martial arts supremes who appeared in the sky at an unknown time, everyone's eyes widened and their breathing stagnated. How is that possible? On the earth outside the secret realm, the voices of exclamation kept coming one after another. Zhang Zhenmin's face had a Chinese character. After being shocked, he smiled like a gorgeous chrysanthemum. Okay. Ha ha ha. Now, in the sky screen, Lu Yu's perspective, 100 wasteland wolves have disappeared. Instead, in front of Lu Yu, one on the left and one on the right, were 2 black hole vortexes with a diameter of tens of meters. It's the day. Hundreds of king-level experts, as well as 5 martial arts supremes, witnessed it with their own eyes. Lu Yu had a good experience of the pleasure of rubbing a black hole with his hands. In front of cabin No. 007, Lu Yu rubbed his hands. He looked at the 2 huge black holes in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. It's time to say it or not. Kwazanti's trick is really useful. Especially when dealing with the mutant beast tide, it is like a magical skill. It is worth mentioning, after Lu Yu shared the bloodline of Kwazanti's skills, he did not need to transform into a black hole like before with Kwazanti to use the dark element vortex. These 2 black holes were made by Lu Yu purely by hand. Really hand rub. Rub your hands together. Snap your fingers. 2 black spots the size of sesame seeds appeared out of thin air. Then, within an instant, the black spot expanded into a black hole with a diameter of tens of meters. In fact, if Lu Yu wanted to, this black hole could be even bigger, no problem exceeding 100 meters. After all, what Lu Yu shared was not the Kwazanti who was only at the 4th level yesterday, but the Kwazanti who was in the process of evolving and had already reached the peak of the 5th level. There seems to be a strange blood power surging in the body. There is a kind of the desire to swallow the power of the elements. Lu Yu felt the changes in his body and thought silently. It seems that Kwazanti has completed his evolution this time and is really going to be reborn. Lu Yu shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Crackling, he snapped his fingers again. The huge black hole in midair disappeared. Crash, 100 beast cores fell from the sky to the ground. It's going to be another great harvest day. Lu Yu smiled and clapped his hands. Then, he didn't go back to the cabin to sleep. Today, he really had to go into battle in person. Lu Yu looked up. Look into the distance. The wilderness is about 3 kilometers away from the cabin. At Lu Yu's speed, it wouldn't take long to run all the way there. But, Lu Yu said that if you can be lazy, you must be lazy. Activate talent. Share. Shared object. Caesar. Lu Yu's heart moved. In an instant, his breath, like a rocket, soared upwards. The power within his body surged to an unimaginably exaggerated level. Click. Lu Yu just lightly stepped on the ground beneath his feet. Broken. The earth shattered. A cracked web like a spider web, with Lu Yu as the center, instantly spread to a radius of hundreds of meters. Lu Yu. Caesar's power is too strong, and it's still unnatural for him to control it. It's not a big problem. Anyway, the main reason is to rush. The next moment, Lu Yu thought. Buzz. Space fluctuations swept across. His figure disappeared on the spot. 3 kilometers away. Wilderness junction. Buzz. Space fluctuations spread. Lu Yu's figure faintly emerged from the void. Caesar's void travel. Lu Yu's secret driving skill. This moment, Lu Yu was unaware or didn't care. Just like that, he was exposed in front of a group of powerful people outside the secret realm. Quiet, silence, deathly silence, outside the secret realm. On the earth, hundreds of king-level experts had stiff expressions and constricted pupils. In the sky, the 5 martial arts supremes were stunned. That's space travel. Lu Yu has also mastered space skills. The inspector of Qinglong Martial Arts Academy, Kai Zhongyan, is the famous martial arts supreme. Now my whole body is numb. So numb. Space skills. He even wondered if he was dazzled. You read that right. Crossing a distance of 3 kilometers in an instant, there is no other explanation other than space shuttle skills. The commander of the Xuanlong army, Ku Yifang, rarely broke his silence. His tone was full of inexplicability and complexity. We really can't blame the supreme master of Qinglong Martial Arts School for losing his temper. It's really incredible. Space attribute skills. What is this concept? To put it simply, below the demigod level, I have never heard of it. Yes, not to mention the senior level, even the Holy Crown Prince is not qualified to touch the porcelain space skills. If so, elemental martial arts are generally a field that can only be accessed by king-level experts. So space skills, even if you reach the realm of demigods, there are very few who can understand or even control it. Space skills, no matter what type of skills, without exception, they are all magical skills. A well-deserved magical skill. And the demigod level. That's not rare anymore. Blue Star's strongest martial artist in the past 50 years, the god of martial arts, is only at the semi-god level. Seriously, Lu Yu's situation is completely beyond my understanding. The female supreme from the Zouk Martial Academy suddenly spoke. The words just fell. Kai Zhongyan was stunned at first, then widened his eyes and said in disbelief. Don't tell me, your Suzaku Martial Arts School wants to break the iron law that has been established for so many years and recruit Lu Yu to enroll. The female supreme of Suzaku Martial Arts Academy did not speak. She just stared at the tall young man's back in the sky screen with her beautiful eyes. For him, how can there be any iron rule? Deep in her heart, she silently muttered to herself. This is still the case in Zouk Martial Arts Academy. Not to mention Xuanwu and White Tiger Academy. After the 2 supreme beings were shocked and numb, when they looked at Lu Yu in the picture, their breathing was as hot as a volcano. Kai Zhongyan, holding on to the last glimmer of hope. He turned to look not far away, where Ku Yifang, the commander of the Xuanlong army, stood alone in a military uniform. Commander Ku. Kai Zhongyan hasn't finished speaking yet. Ku Yifang cast a look. Kai Zhongyan. Got it. He got it. Xuanlong army also likes Lu Yu. Even. It is very likely that the commander of the Xuanlong army came to Lu Yu in the first place. And now, although the provincial examination secret realm has only passed for less than 2 days. But the demon talent and combat power displayed by Lu Yu are enough to make any force move and even go crazy. The dark element skills are shocking enough. Space skills. I'm afraid even the Lord God of War will be shocked. Kai Zhongyan sighed with emotion. His gaze passed over the hundreds of king-level experts below and was firmly fixed on Lu Yu in the sky screen. He was already making calculations in his mind. Do you want to inform the dean of Qinglong Martial Academy and ask him to come to Jinling to rob people? On the earth below, Zhang Zhenmin smiled happily. Not even happy, but unscrupulous. Zhang Zhenmin, who is mature and steady and has never been happy, is now laughing and looking like a villain. And the weird thing is, on this land, only his laughter echoed. There are hundreds of other king-level experts. Everyone was silent. Someone wants to say something. But I opened my mouth and squeaked my lips a few times, but in the end I couldn't hold back even a single bite. That's it. What else can be said? Space skills. The legendary skills that only demigods are qualified to master were just used by Lu Yu with ease. What else is there to say? Many king-level experts with keen minds raised their heads to look at the martial arts supremes in the sky. If you guessed correctly, Lu Yu has definitely been spotted by those people. 4 major martial arts schools. A holy place that countless talented people in China want to enter. The secret realm will end in a few days, but he may break his head in the fight for Lu Yu, maybe. And the next moment, in the picture, from Lu Yu's perspective, unexpected changes suddenly occurred. Lu Yu just stepped into the wilderness area. Why did he suddenly look back? Forest edge. In front of safe house no. 005. 104th level peak Steppenwolves were staring eagerly at the girl surrounded in the middle. The girl held the sword tightly in her hand, but she was already panting. The source of power in her body was almost exhausted. The girl is none other than Zhang Zuying. Unlike Lu Yu, who easily killed the beasts instantly, Zhang Zuying was only at the mid-level 4th level. Although she also has the ability to fight beyond the level. But, when faced with the siege of 104th level peak beasts, Zhang Zuying is no match at all. Just like this moment. Even though she tried her best. But they could only barely withstand the first wave of siege. Are you going to be eliminated today? Zhang Zuying's beautiful eyes were full of regret and unwillingness. Likewise, there is still some regret. Her martial arts talent is not low, as high as 7 stars. Only, in the past year, she had never paid much attention to cultivation. She also deliberately suppressed her own level, fearing that she would improve too quickly and put pressure on Lu Yu, who was still only at the 1st level. But now, Lu Yu was like a hidden dragon emerging from the abyss. But she could only watch his back from a distance, unable to catch up. If it becomes a burden, Lu Yu will also leave me behind, right? Thinking of this, Zhang Zuying's hands holding the sword gained a little more strength. No, can't give up. At least not yet. Otherwise, there is really no chance to follow in Lu Yu's footsteps. Roar, ho ho. The next moment, the pack of wolves in the wilderness, which had been watching for a long time, burst out roaring. They opened their ferocious mouths and flew towards Zhang Zuying. Clang, rang. The sword fell on Steppenwolf, but there was a sharp metal friction sound. Steppenwolf, who is at the peak of the 4th level, has a physical strength comparable to that of an alloy. But Zhang Zuying failed, so she quickly turned around and swung the knife behind her. Only, how could she be able to stop the simultaneous siege of hundreds of Steppenwolves with just one sword? Swish. In an instant, on Zhang Zuying's arm, there was a claw mark that was deep enough to show the bone. The red blood flows gurglingly. Can't give up. Zhang Zuying endured the severe pain, gathered all her strength, and slashed with all her strength. Bang! The 3 Steppenwolves in front of her were all blown away. But, behind her, there were dozens of Steppenwolves rushing towards her with ferocious auras. And that's this moment. Buzz. A burst of spatial fluctuations suddenly spread in the surrounding air. Swish. Immediately afterwards, black vortexes appeared out of thin air on both sides of Zhang Zuying. Roar. The Steppenwolf, who was so ferocious just a second ago, felt the breath of the black hole, and his hair stood up in fear, and he turned around and ran away. But, it's too late. Just a few breaths. 100 Steppenwolves were all ruthlessly sucked in by the 2 black hole vortices. At last, it turned into hundreds of beast cores falling to the ground. This moment, Zhang Zuying was stunned. She raised her head blankly and saw the familiar figure of a young man standing in front of her. Silly girl, you can't handle it yourself, and you don't know how to use the communication bracelet to ask me for help. Outside the secret realm, many powerful people had their eyes fixed on Lu Yu's live video almost the entire time. Just now, they watched helplessly as Lu Yu suddenly turned around just before stepping into the wilderness. Original. They thought something special was going to happen. Result. What the hell? This guy, the hero, is here to save the beauty, right? While others are working hard in the secret realm of the provincial examination, Lu Yu is better off either sleeping or pretending to be cool, and then he even saves a beautiful girl after all. Quote. This moment, looking at the live scene, all the powerful men couldn't help but blush. After the blush, they turned dark again. No way. The contrast between Lu Yu's state and other students is too obvious. It is no exaggeration to say that it stands out from the crowd. But Zhang Zhenmin, the principal of Luokang No. 1 middle school and Zhang Zuying's father, had a smile on his face at this moment. This kid, Lu Yu, is good. He looked at Lu Yu. Where is the principal still watching the students at this moment? This is obviously developing in the direction of father-in-law looking at son-in-law. In cabin No. 005, Zhang Zuying's wound has been bandaged. Other than that, she was fine. The only thing was that her power was exhausted and she needed to practice to replenish it. On the wooden bed, Zhang Zuying and Lu Yu sat opposite each other. School bell Yang's pretty face couldn't help but be stained with a bit of blush. You, why did you suddenly come to help me? He hesitated for a long time. Zhang Zuying suppressed this sentence. When Lu Yu heard this, he didn't explain much. He couldn't say that after sharing Caesar's strength, his perception was greatly enhanced, so he happened to notice Zhang Zuying in crisis, right? If you can't explain it clearly, don't explain it at all. Your current strength is too weak. I will help you appropriately in this provincial examination secret realm so that you can get some resources and opportunities. Lu Yu spoke coldly, but his tone was full of determination. As soon as this statement came out, Zhang Zuying whispered almost subconsciously. No. Before he could finish speaking, Lu Yu directly interrupted him with a wave of his hand. This is a notice, not a suggestion, understand? More. If you are always this weak, you really won't be able to keep up with me. Lu Yu finished speaking. Zhang Zuying bit her lip, but in the end, she nodded silently. When Lu Yu saw this, he showed a satisfied smile and said, Besides, don't think I don't know how you got your soy milk and meat buns. After the final exam, I visited every breakfast restaurant in Los Angeles in the past few days, but none of them tasted the same as what you brought me. The words fell. Zhang Zuying's beautiful eyes suddenly widened. You know I did it myself. Only when she raised her head again did she realize it. Lu Yu's figure, at some point, disappeared from the cabin. She silently swallowed back what she wanted to say. Then, her face showed a rare look of seriousness and determination. Close your eyes, cross your legs, and practice. Cabin No. 006. It was also the siege of 100 wasteland wolves. The girl in the middle of the encirclement, although a little embarrassed, can still cope with it. A sword was swung out. Steppenwolves continued to fall. Only, the girl also had a few external injuries more or less on her body. That's all. The girl and the Steppenwolves continued to fight fiercely. A full hour later, in front of her, lay the corpses of 104th level peak beasts. The girl was also relieved and collapsed on the ground exhausted. Hoo-hoo. The girl was breathing heavily, her forehead covered with beads of sweat. Only, even now, her extremely delicate face still had a somewhat iceberg-like cold expression. Until, the seemingly careless words of the Empress Master echoed in her mind. Xiao, what do you think the teacher saw just now? What? In front of the cabin? Qin Xiao asked in her mind while running her skills to restore her power. To be honest, she was a little curious, because this was the first time in a year that she heard the teacher's slightly joking tone. All the time, the teacher spoke with the majesty of an empress, making people extremely solemn and respectful. And this time, the teacher seems to have made a rare joke. When Qin Xiao thought of this, a smile appeared on her face. Of course she liked the approachable empress teacher even more in her heart. Only, the smile was only half revealed, and the corners of Qin Xiao's mouth even curled up a little. After hearing the next sentence, her smile froze. Her seemingly cold face suddenly turned a little black for some unknown reason. Because what the empress teacher said is, I saw your cousin Lu Yu. He helped the school beauty named Zhang to deal with a whole wave of beasts. Tisk tisk, the scene of a hero saving a beauty is so majestic. Qin Xiao. This moment, she looked down at her blood-stained clothes. He felt that all the energy in his body was almost exhausted. There were many ragged wounds all over his body, and blood was pouring out. Don't know why, she suddenly felt uncomfortable. Yes, Qin Xiao couldn't tell what was wrong with her, but she just felt weird, even a little sour. Xiao, you shouldn't be wondering why your cousin Lu Yu helped her instead of helping you, right? The empress' teasing voice sounded again. Qin Xiao subconsciously retorted. How is that possible? Who is he helping to care about me? And I don't recognize him as my cousin. At most, I just lived under the same roof for a few years. This moment, Qin Xiao didn't even realize it. When she said this, her tone was as anxious as a cat whose tail had been stepped on. And in the space of consciousness, the shadow of the empress in purple and gold robes had a faint smile on her lips. Oh, real. Qin Xiao nodded repeatedly and hummed. Of course it's true. Although, Lu Yu's performance in the secret realm in this provincial examination is indeed excellent, but so what? In the past few years, He and I have not even spoken a few words, and we have no intersection at all. Finished. Qin Xiao seemed to still feel that something was missing, so she added. Who Lu Yu helps is his business, and what does it have to do with me? Only. This last sentence still contains a hint of sourness. Yeah, too. But, the Empress said, her tone paused, and suddenly she became a little more serious, and then she said. You are still in the early stage of the 5th level. You can still deal with these 104th level peak beasts today, but tomorrow may be the 5th level peak beast wave. By then, with your strength, it will be far too difficult to cope with it. As soon as this statement came out, Qin Xiao's pretty face looked stiff. This moment, somehow, the scene where Lu Yu punched £1,000,000 in his previous strength test suddenly appeared in her mind. But then, Qin Xiao shook her head, getting rid of the sudden thought, and said firmly. Anyway, even if I am eliminated tomorrow, I will never ask Lu Yu for help. When the Empress heard this, she chuckled. Really? Qin Xiao nodded vigorously. It's true. The Empress said nothing more. Only, her eyes once again looked towards the deepest part of the secret realm. Day by day passed, her perception became more and more obvious. In the deepest place, that holy level giant beast seems to be slowly reviving. The Scarlet Flame sect has set up a series of assessments. Perhaps the ultimate goal is that giant beast with a strange aura. The Empress's eyes flickered, and she was secretly thinking about various possibilities. But these words, she still didn't say much to Qin Xiao. Time flies by. In the blink of an eye. The day passes. The sun sets over the western mountains. The tide of beasts entrenched in the safe house area receded on time. Unpredictable tremors also sounded in the endless wilderness, warning all the talented people who hunted exotic beasts in the endless wilderness to return to the safe house as soon as possible. This moment, even Lu Yu didn't care much about it. He shuttled back to his cabin before sunset. Today is a day. Lu Yu can be said to be extremely diligent. Black holes were carved out by his bare hands, covering the wilderness. Then, like wholesale, groups of strange beasts are being devoured and strangled on a large scale. All day long, even Lu Yu himself didn't know how many beasts he had killed and how many points he had earned. The only thing he knows is, his small wooden bed was almost completely filled with beast cores at the peak of the 4th level. This scene, it also fell into the eyes of many powerful people outside the secret realm. Only, no more surprise and shock. After watching Lu Yu's performance of rubbing black holes and killing monsters with his hands all day long, they were completely numb. Lu Yu, this guy is a freak. The same dark element black hole skill. When used from Lu Yu's hands, the effect and power are even far greater than that of his black cat beast. This moment, not to mention the many king-level experts. Even the martial arts masters from the 4 major martial arts academies were defeated by Lu Yu's various skills and methods. Beast Master, doesn't it stand to reason that he has no fighting power on his own and relies solely on pet beasts to fight? Why did Lu Yu find out that the Beast Master's combat power was even more exaggerated than that of a pet beast? Take the black hole vortex. The black hole created by the black cat yesterday had a maximum diameter of only 100 meters. And Lu Yu, today he just rubbed a huge black hole with a diameter of nearly 300 meters with his bare hands. I can't figure it out. They couldn't figure out Lu Yu's situation at all. And under the various thoughts of everyone inside and outside the secret, the red sun completely fell below the horizon. Buzz. Above the sky, a light curtain emerged. The rankings for the second day are officially announced. Swish. Names and points emerged one by one. Same as yesterday. It still appears from the end. It didn't take long. At the top of the leaderboard, a familiar name appears again. Even though everyone was mentally prepared, they were still shocked by the terrifying points. First place, Lu Yu. Points, 8,848, 4,424*2. This result refreshes the historical record of the second day assessment ranking. Special trigger reward. Top quality source crystal 10, key 1. And almost at the moment these lines of text appeared. In Safe House 007. On Lu Yu's body, a simple-looking key suddenly began to emit a scorching red light. What's going on? Lu Yu was still looking at the rankings with great interest. Suddenly he was stunned. He quickly took out the key he had obtained during the previous strength test. The key has a simple shape. Originally it had a bronze color. But now, red. The key in Lu Yu's hand turned fiery red. There was also a strong burning sensation coming from the key, and Lu Yu's palms felt hot. Besides, the originally blurry lines on the key gradually became clear. Lu Yu held his breath and looked closely. After a while, his eyes widened. If he saw it correctly, the line's outline seemed to be a head. Yes, head. A head wrapped in blazing flames. The reward for refreshing the record has been distributed. Just then, Lu Yu's ears suddenly heard a reminder from the rules of the secret realm. Swish. There was a flash of white light. In Lu Yu's hand, 10 crystal-clear top-quality source crystals appeared out of thin air, and a key with a simple shape but reflecting aqua blue light. This is. Lu Yu was stunned. He put the two keys together. In terms of shape, these two keys are exactly the same. And the texture. This newly obtained aqua blue key also has a head outlined on it. The difference is, this head seems to be glowing with water, as if it can spit out endless oceans from its mouth. The head symbolizes the beast. Each key represents a giant beast. Is it possible that there are not only giant beasts in the deepest part of the secret realm, but also a lot of giant beasts? This moment, combined with Lu Yu's previous conjecture, he couldn't help but have this shocking idea in his mind. The deepest part of the secret realm. Here, nothingness. The earth and sky seem to be broken here, in the endless desolation. But there are 9 towering towers. Each giant tower is engraved with countless complex and mysterious rune marks. These runic marks seem to be used to seal and suppress something. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the 3rd and 4th giant towers trembled violently. The violent tremors even caused chaos in this space. Wow! On top of the 3rd giant tower, endless flames spread out. Just for a moment, it covered an area of tens of thousands of miles in radius. And on top of the 4th giant tower. But the ocean began to roar and surge. In an instant, it also flooded everything within tens of thousands of miles. Fire and water. At this moment, it seems to have become synonymous with a world-ending natural disaster. Howling, sweeping through this endless void. I don't know how much time has passed. The 2 giant towers finally calmed down. Only, if you can go deep into the giant tower, you can find out. Inside these 2 giant towers, there is a head as huge as the sun. Buzz, buzz. The next moment, these 2 huge heads slowly opened their eyes. The smell of antiquity spread out instantly. Their eyes were each shining with endless power of elements and natural disasters. Has another 10,000 years passed? In the 3rd giant tower, the head that was burning with blazing flames suddenly made a thunderous sound. The sound was huge. It echoed back and forth throughout the void. In the 4th giant tower, the aqua blue head spoke quietly. Yes, new humans have entered. Said. It paused, and its aqua blue eyes as huge as mountains seemed to pass through the infinite seal barrier and look at the other 7 giant towers that were still silent. In every giant tower, all are one head, only. They are not awake now. Certainly, this is a good thing. If all 9 heads really wake up, although the 9 brothers can reunite again after 120,000 years, but the consequences are equally unpredictable. Now that the secret realm has been opened, it won't be long before new humans come here. The aqua head suddenly spoke. The words fell. The flame head sneered. So what if we come here? In the past 120,000 years, who has finally arrived here, who is not the so-called genius of the human race? 10,000 years ago, the man named Dongfang Ao, even at the 9th level, could fight against a king-level beast alone. But so what? It's not a failure. Said. The burning eyes of the flame head burst out with extreme anger and hatred. Old man Yan, when my 9 brothers get out of trouble, they will definitely enter the starry sky and hunt him down until death. A thunderous roar, echoing wildly in the void. But in this desolation. But no life can respond. The only one. It was just a low sigh from the aqua blue head. Cabin No. 007. Lu Yu observed the 2 mysterious keys for a long time. No definite conclusion has been drawn. As for guessing, after all, it is just a guess and cannot be confirmed. I don't know how many keys there are in total. If possible, it would be best to get them all right. Lu Yu stared at the key and murmured softly. Just now. He also tried to ask about the rules of the secret realm. But the other party didn't give the slightest response. If you think about it carefully, it's quite normal. For now, no matter what the final function of this key is. But it must be related to the biggest secret of the secret realm, and even the ultimate treasure opportunity. How could such confidential information be easily disclosed to the examiner? Various thoughts swirled in Lu Yu's mind. At the same time, outside the secret realm, many powerful people who are always paying attention to Lu Yu's live footage are also keenly aware of the difficulty of these two keys. If I'm not mistaken, what is the head of a giant beast carved on the key? The two keys seem to symbolize two different giant beasts. Is there really a giant beast in the deepest part of the Red Flame sect's secret realm? It's not like the reward for ranking first in the provincial exam this time as a king-level beast. It's still alive. Could it be in this secret realm? A king-level expert suddenly said this. And the words just fell. Without waiting for anyone else to respond. Several king-level experts from the Jinling family directly answered the conversation. Impossible. The king-level beast that won the first prize in the provincial examination is now in Jinling City. How could it be in this secret realm? As soon as this statement came out, everyone present was silent at first. Immediately afterwards, it boiled. And those king-level experts from the Jinling family knew that they had made a mistake, so they quickly turned into streams of light and flew towards Jinling City without waiting for anyone to ask questions. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.